Alright, so let's, before we get into other stuff too quick, I do want to head over to our Apex Strike Team stuff, because we do some big stuff. Do some big stuff that we will end up doing soon. We have a lot of options available to us. We've done a lot on Vold recently, but we have recently learned that there are perhaps new planets that we've not yet been to that we may be able to now visit. A place where the Krogan supposedly have set up shop after they kind of got forced out of the Nexus. And there's also, of course, the main quest for tracking down the Archon's ship. But we'll talk more about that in a second. First, though, let's just get stuff over here taken care of. Let's see. How much longer do we need on this stuff? A little while, because that stuff does not progress the timer as we are not in-game. However, I have continued to do more of the Strike Team stuffs, just using the Strike Team's app in between streams. So, although we don't have 100 of, or rather, we don't have 200, the maximum of the rewards here today, as that is about the number that we tend to see, or the number that we realize we can get up to if we skip a week and if I'm diligently doing the missions in between streams. Seems like 1 week in between streams our usual amount, and diligently doing the missions gets us to about 100, give or take, of the rewards. I think it's a little bit over that. It's more like 110, maybe slightly over 110 at the moment. But we are, of course, now getting a combination of bronze, silver, and gold chests as well here. So we will get not quite as long a list of loot that we got last time, but still a reasonably long list, and of course some higher ticket items. And we saw some very interesting stuff last time, especially since we recently made a point for that very reason of what category was it under? This. Of getting the ears to the ground upgrade, so we have a 20% chance of receiving weapons or armor when we turn in our Apex missions. Because when you're cashing in 100 plus at a time, that can certainly add up. I assume the item is tied to, the quality of the item is tied to the rank of the mission, the difficulty of the mission, like bronze. If those missions give you the 20% chance of getting the weapon or armor, then it's a relatively cheap piece of gear, whereas if it's silver, it's decent. If it's gold, it has a chance of being very good. So, as I said, I mean, we have some gold rewards here. So this certainly could give us some nice stuff. We did see some nice stuff last time as well. But also, let me just double check how much inventory space. We have plenty. We also made a point of upgrading our inventory space last time, although we actually didn't need it after turning in the various loot crates. Just feels like it gives us a little more peace of mind. Don't need to worry too much about maxing out our inventory space just before doing this, because I have learned that supposedly if you do run out of inventory space when doing this, that the items just get completely destroyed and you don't ever see them. Didn't get the chance to confirm one way or the other if it at least counts as disassembling the items so that you get some materials out of them, but I mean, I'm not sure. That may or may not be the case. If it isn't the case, then that just really stinks. If you run out of inventory space, then you get nothing for all of your hard work. But alas, let's see what we get here. I am curious, I guess one other thing to check, because last time we saw we got some nice items, a very long list of items, some of which were very good, but didn't really make a point of checking the amount of credits we got, so we're just below 42,000 here. Just below 42,000. So I'm curious to see what this amounts to. Again, it's like about a little over 110 with the chests. So let's see. I press the, claim all rewards button. There's usually a little bit of a delay, because when the number is this large, it takes a little while for it to register. Okay, so check the bottom left corner of the screen. As soon as I exit out here, we're going to see a lot of stuff pop up. Seems like it starts with the bronze stuff, so going to be low-level things, but let's check. I think the bronze credits-wise, that's sort of the easiest thing to compare, or one of the easier things to compare. All right, this might now be getting into silver rewards. Maybe not. There's Piranha, rank 4. We did level up, I think, in between the last time we turned in this stuff, so I was kind of curious to see if we were going to get higher ranking items, because rank 4 was the highest we'd gotten previously, but I thought maybe we were high enough now that rank 5 would be possible, but perhaps not. So like the 30, low to mid 30s Hurricane, that's the big one that I really wanted to get before. So yeah, this is clearly all the gold stuff. We're getting the ultra rare item drops. Yeah, some low 30s, some mid 30s, some high 30s to just barely breaking the 40 mark. So it seems like from a credit standpoint, perhaps there's not a very big difference between the bronze, silver, and gold unless we see something that comes in a much larger chunk than that. But the items, and I suppose the crafting materials as well, because we are seeing the higher rarity, I think is a much bigger difference than, you know, the extra 5 to 10 credit, because that's just not all that big of a difference. Okay, but there it all is. So we got like 1,300, 1,400 credits. Not a humongous amount, but, you know, if that happens on a somewhat regular basis, then that is a somewhat significant chunk. And of course, if we sell the items that we acquire from this, then we can get, I would imagine, a lot more than that. Last time, I think we disassembled most of these things, because at this stage, it seems as though perhaps that is the way you go about doing it, and then once we start getting higher level stuff, we sell those, they're going to be more valuable, and, you know, eventually we'll get some combination of both credits and materials out of this stuff. But let's see, so Predator, that's obviously, we're gonna dump that. Like, here we get, you know, even when you're breaking down Predator, which is the starting pistol, yes, it's a slightly higher level version of it, but again, a little bit of Element Zero, which is an ultra rare crafting material. So the other stuff, more plentiful, yes, that's obviously lower rarity in that case, but you know, if we get high quantities of even low-level items, we can still get valuable stuff like Element Zero, so that's kind of why I see it as, at this stage, not that bad to be disassembling those types of things. This might be our first Eagle, which did exist in Mass Effect 3. It's kind of a pistol assault rifle hybrid, and then it has a high rate of fire. It's kind of, it's decent in Mass Effect 3. It's probably not as good as an assault rifle for pure assault rifle purposes. And then, you know, the individual shot obviously is less powerful than the high-level pistols, or the high-rarity pistols, so it's kind of in a weird middle ground, but it might be worth holding on to, because it is potentially still a decent weapon for us. We do have two of them, so we can certainly deconstruct one of them at least, and yes, these do give a little bit more Element Zero. Makes sense, given how that is higher rarity. Okay, we got several Hurricanes this time, so that's the one that really intrigues me. I'm curious to compare Hurricane against Eagle here. So yeah, Hurricane's going to be much faster rate of fire, lower damage per bullet, probably much lower accuracy as well. At least a little bit, but it's heavier. Ammo probably higher just because it has a ridiculous rate of fire. So if you didn't have that, then you would run out of ammo instantaneously. You probably will still run out of ammo more or less instantaneously with it. But let's see, I'm exaggerating ever so slightly. Then, we're currently equipping the Sidewinder. Okay, we got an extra Sidewinder, which we can disassemble. Actually did not give Element Zero, gave a different high-ish level. I think that's the vanadium. I think that's still just gold, not even ultra rare, so technically not quite as good. But again, just getting the various assortments of stuffs, which will help us get more aggressive with our crafting, which I think we will start doing very soon. We are hopefully going to be able to unlock a new reward from the cryopods soon that allows us to add one more mod to our enhancement. I forget what the correct terminology is, because mods are, I guess, different, but the ones that you add when you are doing the crafting. We're gonna unlock another one of those soon, possibly is the next one that we get. So I'm thinking basically as soon as we get that, we can start getting very aggressive, because we have accumulated a whole lot of crafting materials now. So, okay, Talon, he is really good in really, really good in Mass Effect 3, so I am kind of intrigued here. And the Scorpion, personally not a huge fan of it. We might dump it here. We have gotten several of those before. Okay, so that's just pistols, but we have more stuff in other categories as well. Sandstorm is the weapon that we crafted and we've been using a lot as of late. Let's see. I think these other ones, we'll get pretty aggressive scrapping those. I mean, some of these, like the Cyclone is one of the new ones to Andromeda, and I know we said at one point in time that I was curious to test it out for myself, and I still am. I don't remember if we've actually done it or not, which is maybe telling, because perhaps we have, and it just was completely unremarkable, so I don't remember it for that reason. Valkyrie is obviously an ultra rare. It did exist in Mass Effect 3, so I have some familiarity with it. It was, in Mass Effect 3 at least, somewhat of a higher damage, lower rate of fire assault rifle, a little bit higher accuracy. I think it had a slightly higher damage multiplier for headshots. That was kind of the idea with it, was it's a little bit more of a precision assault rifle, which for what it's worth is kind of what we've been doing with our assault rifles thus far. We've almost, by putting scopes on just about all of our assault rifles, tried to turn them into a bit of assault rifle, sniper rifle hybrids. And so, I mean, you could make a case that that's basically what the Valkyrie is best at. But, I mean, we do, at the very least, we have two of them. But now that we improved our inventory size, we might not need to be all that diligent about basically getting rid of, whether through deconstructing or selling, all of our items that we are not immediately about to use, because we have a little more wiggle room, right? Revenant, at least in Mass Effect 3, was atrociously awful. Mass Effect 2, it was quite good, but let's see. This can't have been the first one that we've seen thus far in Andromeda, though. I imagine we can craft one of these if we really wanted to. I mean, one of the things, I think I said this previously last time round, but I did, going into Andromeda, have some plan with regard to how we wanted to spend some of our skill points. I did not have any plans with regard to our weapons that we wanted to use or the types of mods and augmentations that we wanted to put on those weapons. So I don't really know what exactly we want to do there. I have some idea based on experience from previous Mass Effect games and based on what we're trying to do with our other skills. You know, there are some things that are going to complement our skill set more so than other things, but still very much learning on that side, because obviously there are a bunch of new weapons that I just had never seen before, and as this is a blind playthrough, didn't know what those were going to be like. But Revenant, again, I imagine is probably either easy enough to recreate or just not good enough for us to bother with it too much. One thing, though, that it is perhaps worth considering is that it seemed as though Crusader's really nice in Mass Effect 3, at least. Basically, sniper rifle, shotgun hybrid. Piranha, heard a lot of people saying this is significantly better in Andromeda than it is in Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3, it existed, but it was possibly the only weapon that had N7 in the name, based on the N7 program from Earth, which is basically the elite special forces program for the Systems Alliance, the human military. Possibly the only weapon in Mass Effect 3 that had N7 in the name, but was just a rare weapon, not an ultra rare. I think every other weapon in Mass Effect 3 that had N7 in the name was an ultra rare. Possibly one other that I'm forgetting, but perhaps that was sort of the logic here in Andromeda was, oh, hey, for some reason we forgot to make the Piranha an ultra rare, rather than a rare, and so for Andromeda, we're going to bump it up to ultra rare, and we're going to make it stronger for that reason to justify that. I mean, it's already decent, for sure. But the thing is that... Oh, and Ryder... Oh, hold on. Ryder's also really good. Venom is also... Wait, Venom is ultra rare. Oh, this got downgraded rarity-wise in Andromeda. I think the Scorpion was rare as well in Andromeda, and that, as we just saw, and I think that is definitely ultra rare in Mass Effect 3. So yeah, some rarity changes, which perhaps is a bit of an indication as to, you know, well, balancing-wise, we wanted to make this stronger or weaker in Andromeda. But one thing that I did notice is when we were, a while back, going through the various augmentations, I think I am going to perhaps get rid of this just because I'm assuming that for the rares, we can probably craft those a little more feasibly, and or just get them to pop back into our inventory from the types of rewards we were just receiving more easily. But it seemed like the augmentations that we saw back when we were spending a bunch of research points on those types of things, it seemed like those a lot of the highest level ones, most powerful ones theoretically, or at least the ones that would most significantly affect the weapons, were ones that modified the way in which the bullets spread, or more like would seek their targets. Like there were a whole bunch for, this one is now going to heat seek enemies. This one is now going to stick to enemies. This one's going to explode now. So it seems like for that reason, at least with the heat seeking type stuff, that one of the easiest things to modify about a weapon is to improve its accuracy. So one of the reasons why I was saying I was excited about the Hurricane in particular was because perhaps with those high-level modifications that can improve the accuracy of weapons that do everything well except accuracy, that can compensate for those weaknesses and make what would otherwise have been a really strong weapon that just has one fatal flaw turn into an extremely well-rounded weapon that is just amazing. So I think that things like the Hurricane, for that reason, come to mind. The Piranha, which, again, people had spoken about a lot as well. Other high damage, low accuracy stuff. Have we seen Ryder? Is a shotgun in Mass Effect 3 that is extremely inaccurate but extremely powerful, and you basically need to shoot at point-blank range for that reason, but if we could make that significantly more accurate, then that could become an incredibly powerful weapon. I just don't know if we've seen it in Andromeda yet. Perhaps we have. Other things like that. Yeah, those types of things come to mind. There are probably a few assault rifles that could fit that category as well. So those are the types of things that I'm a little bit intrigued about. This also, Indra, is ultra rare in Mass Effect 3, but has obviously been bumped down to rare here. You are ultra rare. I think we've seen one of you before and probably still proceeded to deconstruct you because you're a sniper rifle, and I'm generally not a huge fan of sniper rifles, although, as I was saying previously, it does feel like because we've been throwing scopes onto our assault rifles as our primary weapon thus far, in many ways we've kind of been turning our assault rifles into sniper rifles, or doing as much as we can to make that happen, because one of the reasons for that being that these always give us nothing if we try to deconstruct them, right? Yeah, we need to sell those if we want to get anything in return from them. But one of the reasons for that is because our skill set right now, our best damage dealing skill is Flamer, obviously, but that is a very close range weapon. To a certain extent, we can use our tactical cloak to move in, get into Flamer range more safely, and then hopefully deal enough damage to take enemies out quickly enough or get them staggered from the flame-like effect so that we aren't in immediate harm or immediate danger. But usually we don't want to do that at the very beginning of an encounter, at least not in the very beginning of big encounters, because that means we are going to be right in the middle of a huge group of enemies and very likely to get taken out quickly. So for the most part, we've been trying to use our cloak to remain safe from a distance, pick off a few enemies here or there with our scoped assault rifle that is almost sort of like a sniper rifle, and then move in to flamer range. But perhaps for that reason, it would be most effective for us to just say, well, forget about trying to turn an assault rifle into a sniper rifle, just use a sniper rifle. So I'm not as averse to it as I might have initially thought I would be. I am also interested, though, in perhaps just doing a whole bunch of research, because you might have noticed that number is kind of big. And by that number is kind of big, I mean we may be able to just recklessly click on all of the buttons and not put any thought into it whatsoever to get the research done here, because that is large enough that perhaps we just don't need to do any planning at all, because we can just afford everything right here, right now. Yeah, like there's Revenant, which is one of the things that we had scrapped. Does Raider show up at all? Do we have a Raider? Scorpion, another one. Piranha, yes. Rieger, Crusader, Venom, Indra. Ooh. I don't think I saw it. Which is not necessarily to say that it doesn't exist in Andromeda. I mean, I'm still not sure if we've ever seen... Are there weapons that exist that are not craftable here, or that we can receive from loot, but we need to do other things before they become available here. So, like, the fact that we don't see Ryder at the moment, does that definitively mean that we are never going to see it here in the future, or might there be something that we do later on that makes it become available? Not 100% sure, but okay, so, like, out of curiosity, I also don't remember, like, so we already researched some stuff for this. Did we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5? In which case that does start to add up significantly. Or can we... Let's see, what is a weapon that we are interested in? Hurricane. So we did get some of these, but I would probably prefer to, in an ideal world, craft these from scratch so that we can add those augmentations to it. But, like, can we go straight into something like this? No, it says requires previous rounds. So, does that mean... I mean, I'm just going to basically do all these ones, but... So we do this... Get the blueprints. Launch the development once we've gathered all the required resources. Okay. We do that. Research successfully. Researching augmentations grants you 1 copy, but that's not the case for weapons or armor. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we do need to go step by step if we want to get up to rank 5. That is one thing as well. That's, I guess, one reason why we might have hoped that we could start getting the rank 5 stuff from those strike teams, Apex mission drops, because apparently we can craft 1 level higher than we can get through those loot boxes at this stage. So how much did that use up fully unlocking Hurricane? I mean, presumably, as we do get to higher level, we will start to have, I imagine, it can go up to rank 10, at least in Mass Effect 3, that was the highest rank, although technically you can only do that on New Game Plus, so maybe rank 5 is going to be the highest we can do. But if we can end up going higher later on, then it's going to continue to get more expensive, and, you know, we have a lot of research points, so wasn't like that's going to make us broke, but if we just try to do that for every single weapon, would we have enough? We might. We still might. We still might. Does this only include... Wait, weapons... Okay, we do have armor as well. Okay. Do have other categories. For augmentations, did we do all these already? We did not do all of them. We did the highest rarity ones, I think. Yeah, these are also comparatively, seemingly much cheaper. Also not a huge fan of those, anyway. Damage while hovering and what have you. And those do put items in our inventory, which means it's going to be a little more crowded there, which... Again, given how we added the inventory space from other cryopods, that's maybe not something we need to be too worried about, but if we hadn't done that, that might be a reason to pull back a little bit there. But, okay, I'm, in that case, kind of thinking maybe we do just go nuts here and basically get everything. Or at least, I suppose we at least start with the high priority stuff. Oh, whoa, hold on. Hold on, this is new. An advanced Hurricane. So is this basically rank 1 through 5 and this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Yes, that is exactly what this is. Okay. That is interesting. So yeah, as it levels up, the price goes up, and so that could start to very much become a thing. Requires level 40 to do the research? Yeah, still do I wasn't sure if it's going to be to craft it or research as well, so we just can't even do that right now. Okay, so that is interesting and does perhaps mean we ought to at least hold back a little bit. But, you know, for like high priority stuff, we're thinking... What? We were just talking about how Piranha was previously just rarity in Mass Effect 3, but got bumped up to ultra rare here in Andromeda, and yet here it's rare on this page, yet we just saw some in our inventory that were ultra rare. What the heck? What's up, Emberic? How's it going? How's it going? Hanar, hello to you as well. I mean, I guess we'll do it. I assume basically getting to the rank 5 is what unlocks the advanced version of it. Like, if we stop here, no advanced version, but if we go rank 5, might have even said on that little screen there, but I just assumed that they all said the same thing, because yeah, here's advanced. Okay, it's like that. We probably want Ryder. I mean, cheesy weapon, but probably worth investing in just because it is very, very strong, potentially. Not necessarily sure. I haven't really thought about what augmentations might be able to be particularly effective on this, but it is a very unique weapon in that it basically shoots electricity very rapidly, very short range, but, you know, are there ways in which you could compensate for those weaknesses? Possibly, in which case maybe it gets much stronger. No, you're totally new. You're totally new. I've never seen you before. No idea who you are. Crusader, another powerful weapon. Super accurate shotgun with a lot of damage. This one, understandably, is ultra rare, as we would have expected it to be. So basically just gonna start to throw some research points into the things that are very clearly, at the very least, weapons that we would consider using at some point. Black Widow, if we were going to go with sniper rifle, this is sort of the standard traditional sniper rifle type of thing. Super accurate, high damage, but extremely heavy, slow to shoot, although in this case it at least has multiple bullets in each clip, so you don't have to reload after every single shot, so it's a little more forgiving in that way compared to some other more traditional sniper rifles. Okay. And the Sorry Sword and Krogan Hammer. We, I think, are currently using a Krogan Hammer. What I was not sure about, but recently had a passing thought of. So this says 613 damage. This says also 613 damage. What I'm wondering is there a difference between the speed at which weapons are used? Like, this says damage, yes, but in terms of damage per second, like, if this is a big, slow, hammer-like weapon, whereas this is a super speedy, slicing sword, then although the damage per hit may appear to be the same, this may functionally still have higher damage per second, and also this is ultra rare, whereas this is just rare, so it seems a little bit weird that they would be identical statistically. Yeah, I had no idea going into Andromeda that had this much weapon tweaking as well, which is why, for the most part, or basically, I had no plan for specific weapon stuff going into Andromeda. Does it get a little more elaborate between upgrades as well? Visually? If so, then not by much. I think we saw that with weapons at the very, or rather with armor at the very least. Yes, like, sure, we'll fully upgrade that. I mean, for that same reason, I'm not sure if it makes sense to fully upgrade both the Asari Sword and that Krogan Hammer, because if they're statistically identical, then just take one and don't even bother with the other one. But I don't know. Okay, so anything else that's particularly high priority? I mean, like, Valiant is... There are other ultra-rare weapons, sure. Venom is perhaps something we might want to put those points in. That is an interesting one. It's, again, was ultra-rare in Mass Effect 3, but it's been bumped down to rare, apparently, in Andromeda, so don't know if that's a reflection of it having been weakened relative to other weapons in Andromeda. But it shoots little mini grenades of sorts, which is, I believe, one of the modifications we could basically make other weapons more Venom-like. I don't know what that means for the Venom. Are there other creative ways we can still make that more interesting? Hornet, Oh, Talon. Talon is really good. This is basically a shotgun pistol, which could make it a good target for some of those augmentations, because again, it seems like a lot of the augmentations can increase accuracy in creative ways, making bullets heat-seeking and what have you. So if the key weakness that this has is that it has low accuracy, because it's shotgun-like, but when the bullets do hit, then it deals a bunch of damage, then making all those bullets heat-seeking seems like that could be a significant improvement here for this type of weapon in particular, so I am intrigued for that reason. Anything else? I mean, then there are weapons that are so inaccurate that they are usually just not even considered anywhere near good at all, and the Revenant would be one of those, so I don't know. Are some of those modifications so impactful that they can even make the Revenant good? I want to say I'm doubtful, but honestly, I don't know. Well, Falcon's also very interesting. It's another one that shoots explosive projectiles, which is definitely one of the mods, so that you can make other weapons do. So for that reason, I'm not sure. That might just mean that Falcon and Venom being the other one that's like that, they might just be bad now, because the thing that used to make them relatively unique is now something that you can make almost any weapon do. So why bother with the Falcon and the Venom in that case, unless, you know, the opportunity cost of it is, of doing that on the other stuff is, you know, okay, well, normally you'd have to commit one of the modification slots to make stuff explode on impact, and since you don't have to do that with Venom and Falcon, that means you have one more slot you can use on something that is more directly going to improve damage or whatever else you might be looking to do, so maybe it could still work reasonably well. See, Ghost is new to Andromeda, so I have no idea what to think of that. Similarly with Vanquisher. Tidewinder, I think we made one of these, didn't we? Or no, maybe it was the Sandstorm, which is currently what we're using. Okay, so maybe we leave it at that, at least for the weapons, and then armor. I think we've said that we are most looking forward to the Angaran armor, because that does tech stuff, and that is generally what we're looking to do. Well, let's just double check what these things do. Health and shields, I mean, that's not bad. Defensive stuff. Well-rounded in that case. Melee damage, not really a point of emphasis for us, I don't think. Health and shields, never a bad thing. Health and shields, never a bad thing. Biotic power damage, not something we're focusing on right now, but perhaps later on. We've started to invest a little bit in biotic abilities now. Biotic recharge, but yes, this looks like it's basically the biotic equivalent of the Angaran armor that we were eyeing previously. But since we currently have way more points invested in tech than we do in biotics, I think it still makes a lot more sense to prioritize the Angaran stuff. Granted, the Angaran stuff takes a different kind of research, and we're looking at the augmentations here before, but nothing super high priority there. Okay, so we invested a fair bit, and it took up a little less than half of our research points, but that was a pretty decent chunk. Yes, we did somewhat aggressively upgrade a bunch of weapons, but bear in mind, that was just the front half for all those weapons. If we want to fully level them up later, they are going to get more expensive. So, although that number seemed really high, it is perhaps still not quite as significant as it might have initially appeared, where at first we were thinking maybe we could just buy absolutely everything. Okay, let's see. I think these timers don't continue when we're on those other screens, those other menu screens, so despite us definitely having been here long enough for that to pop up, I don't think that was actually progressing. Okay, this one, hold on, was going while we were doing that stuff. Okay, got a silver box here, and we could open that. Oh, and new stuff. Yeah, we should probably put people on these things as well. Let's see. So generally, I have done a little more optimization of our teams now. Just take a quick look here. So we have almost everybody up at level 20 at this stage. One exception is the team that we added most recently, and so basically we now have everyone has their own specialty, or in this case, they're the generalist. If we don't have someone who specializes in something, then you are the person who has the item that gives you a plus 20 effectiveness to everything, so it's not going to be quite as good as if we did have a specialist, but it's at least a plan B for the miscellaneous golds, because there are actually a fair number of types of missions that it's just not possible to have people specialize in with a specific item. So you're the generalist, you're the hero, we need a hero specialist, the hostage rescue specialist, the high risk, high reward specialist. You are now our weather specialist. This is a team that has been upgraded since we were last looking at these guys. They did not previously have an item, but the generalist used to be the poor weather conditions specialist. Then They failed one mission, happened to get the worst possible negative trait, reducing the effectiveness on the specific thing that I wanted them to specialize in. And so they did still have plus 10 effectiveness to every type of enemy, meaning that functionally they're going to have plus 10 effectiveness minimum for any given mission. So I figured, you know what, sure, we'll make you the generalist. And then these guys took their place as the poor weather condition specialist. This is the team that is still in development to a certain extent, although at level 18, and with their night vision goggles, they probably can still take on a gold mission if it has the nighttime tag on it. So not going to be quite perfect just yet, but getting there. And, you know, I think I've done one or two missions for teams that have the proper gear and have the proper trait to specialize in a category, but just are 1 or 2 levels too short. And they've still, for the most part, been able to do it, and it gives them a ton of experience, so usually it gets them up to or very close to level 20, and then obviously at that point they're doing quite well. Okay, so those are the teams. Oh, except that was not the menu I wanted to open. Those are the teams. So in general, I think we want to prioritize getting the gold missions with the ideal specialist. So again, we have the generalists at the very least. We can always fall back on them, filling in. They're going to have basically a 70% chance for any gold mission, which is not perfect, but as I was saying, you know, that's there is our specialist. Okay, that's what it looks like when you do have someone with all the stuff perfectly aligned. So we'll take that for sure. And then for the silver missions, anyone can do these basically, and they should have just about the perfect amount of chance of success. You know, in some cases, you know, if you have a positive trait, then you might be able to go slightly higher than other people. Like 92, I think, is basically the base number most people would have in this case. You happen to have something positive, which gets you up to 92, which I think is basically the hard cap. And then you might have a negative trait that's scary, might be scaring you off and costing you a few percentage points. So not a huge deal, but, you know, again, this is silver, so you can basically put anyone in that. Technically, you should not have put the generalist there, because the generalists, it is nice to have available in case we do find a gold mission popping up later. Then we want to have our plan B at least available to us. But, you know, I think it'll be a little while until we're going to be doing new missions anyway, so should be fine. Okay, so that's all that stuff. And I know that's a lot, but given how we had a big backlog of loot crates for us to open up, and we also had a bunch of research points that had just been stockpiling, felt like it was overdue for us to at least do something with some of those. But the big thing is, of course, figuring out where we want to go to next, because most recently we were spending a lot of time in Vold. We did successfully get that up to now, I believe it was... Yes, over here, 100% viability. We do now have an outpost there, so that's great, because it felt for a while as if Vold was lagging behind the other planets that we'd been to previously. We do have Kadara, which is a planet that we have seen, but only visited briefly, and it's obviously only at 10% right now, so there's still a lot of stuff that we can do there. That could be our next destination, yes, although we don't have anything that is super high priority there. I mean, we definitely still have at least some side quests. Let's see. Just remind ourselves how much we have. Apparently we're close to finishing that. Just a location we need to go to there. This one I think is fairly big. Signs of Ket on Katara. I imagine it does seem like basically every big planet has one of the major Ket bases, like we've seen on Eos, on Vold very recently. I guess we haven't seen one on Havarl, though maybe that'll pop up later. Or we just haven't come across it yet for some reason, but it seems like that is a pretty regular occurrence, so that might be what this is alluding to there. Then, let's see, settling Kadara. It gives us more specifics on how we get the outpost. We did find the location where we could eventually create the outpost, but there were other criteria we needed to meet before we could actually do it. So before an outpost can be established on Kadara, we must solve Kadara's water toxicity problems. That was the big thing that we did not really have any answers about yet. Quell the escalating rivalry between the outcasts and the collective. Okay, that I'm not sure we knew was going to be a requirement to set up the outpost. Yes, obviously we knew that that was a dynamic on the planet, but didn't know that that was something that was going to be tied to the outpost. So let's see, work with rays, help retrieve the formula, which I assume is going to help with the water, help with the cat, stabilize Kadara's environment by resetting the vaults, reach 40% viability on Kadara. Do we have to do all those things? Or is that kind of a, hit some of them, and then you'll be good? Okay. Terrain named Thracia sold you the nav point for weapons cache stolen from the Nexus. Monoliths. Oh, is it going to be 3 monoliths spread out across the planet that eventually, once we get all of those, it opens up a vault like we saw in Vold, which is a little bit tedious, but okay. Okay. We did see this pop up as one of the things that was listed on the outpost. I mean, this seemed pretty minor, but perhaps this is a lot more significant than it would have initially seemed. Check on a missing surveyor who is collecting parasite samples. Alright. Yeah, so, there's a lot of little things here, for sure. And the big thing is, of course, we can get an outpost, and the dynamic between the collective and the outcasts. So, not to say that there aren't things here, but that is stuff we could go back to. And then, it's been a while, it feels like, since we've been on the Nexus. What is this? So yeah, I think we probably got these in emails, I imagine. Then the Tempest. Procure snacks from Kadara Port. Okay, so that's also a Kadara. Despite saying Tempest. So there's some things on Kadara, yes. We could definitely go over there to do those things. But what I'm thinking is, in general, our approach with the planets thus far has been go to planet. Usually there's a main quest mission that is going to be the thing that first introduces us to that planet. Do a little bit of exploration there, get a sense for what that planet is like, but don't spend a ton of time there. Head back over to other main quest missions or other planets to do additional things to try to get them up to 100% viability, set up the outposts, and kind of rotate a little bit between the planets so we aren't spending a ton of time in one planet, on one planet for, the vast portion of, like multiple days on one planet for extended periods of time. Because it feels like that just helps keep things a little bit fresher, right? So for that reason, it wasn't that long ago that we were at Kadara. Maybe it makes more sense for us to try out, I believe there was a new place where we learned that the Krogan are supposedly setting up shop.
Bold orbit is steady.
So what I'm thinking is we go to that spot. There is also the main quest location for tracking down the Archon's ship. I'm a little hesitant to go that route because the Mass Effect player in me tells me that, wait, what was that? Is that our current location? Does that look like that, wait, hold on. What is this? Oh, that is where we currently are. Okay, yeah. Looked like there was a planet that we just scanned and completed a mission or something like that. But, yeah, the Mass Effect player in me is saying the Archon mission reminds me so much of some of the other big missions from previous Mass Effect games. Like, I don't know, Vermeer Mass Effect 1, Horizon Mass Effect 2, / Collector Ship, and maybe even Base Mass Effect 2, in that it involves the big antagonists that we have been hearing a lot about thus far. So it seems like it's going to be really important, and for that reason, we probably want to make a point of doing a lot of leveling and side quests beforehand to prepare ourselves. Yes, there are probably going to be some big things that happen there that could perhaps give us some new tools that we did not previously have access to, so for that reason you could rush it to a certain extent, but at least in the case of, like, we're going to Mass Effect 2, for example, with things like Horizon, or the Reaper IFF, for example, there's some cases where you really, really want to front load some of the things that you do, otherwise you can run into some serious issues later on. So for that, all those reasons, I would like to focus primarily on the other more side questy stuff before we go to track down the Archon ship. Not to say that we'll do absolutely every single mission on every single planet beforehand, but that just feels like going a little bit further, at least seeing what the deal is on some of these places first. This is what I'm thinking of. This spot here, where I believe we expect to find the Krogan. But there are also just new systems overall that we've never been to. What is this? There's a bunch of things here. Does this have one of the planets that we've been to already? I just don't remember which one it is. And that's why there's all this stuff here. H047C, a new world, Vetra. I don't know what the deal is there. At the very least, I think we poke our hands in some of the new places that we don't know much about. In general, we found these tend to have not much in them, but then we'll go to, I believe it is here where we're expecting to find the Krogan, or maybe some of these other places that have perhaps more minor things next to them. What's up? Well, yeah, no worries, Barrack. Thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you later. So let's just try out some of these probably smaller, less significant systems, check some of them off the list, see if they have anything of interest.
This might have been a larger system once, before the Scourge.
As if we needed a better reason to document everything.
And so perhaps it is really
Anomaly
small.
detected.
In that case, is it little... Oh no, I thought it was gonna be this thing. But maybe it is.
Deploying probe.
It
I
is.
found
Okay.
something.
Comet Tallulah. So probably just expecting to find resources and credits and research around here. I mean, we might have a mission or two that requires that we go out and explore some stuff. We might happen across those types of things, perhaps by accident. Let's see. Comet Tallulah. Nucleus. 4.6 kilometers true. I don't really know what that means. Highly reliable orbit, despite the Scourge and the black hole. Okay. Vanadium, which is pretty rare. Alright, its rarity is quite literally rare, so not bad. This, the Scourge all around it is intriguing, but maybe we finish on that one. That looks dramatic. That looks very dramatic. It's like right next to the star. I mean, at this distance, you would be absolutely frying. Let's see. So, PAS 39. It has basically no atmosphere. It's probably all been burned off from being so close to the neighboring star. It's 440 degrees Celsius, quite hot. It appears to be the dying remains of Jolly No, a massive gas giant named for a mythical Angaran hero. It's been largely stripped of its atmosphere. Okay, but otherwise, not much of note. What about you?
Anomaly detected.
Okay, let's see first. Huge atmosphere, and for that reason, perhaps, even despite being much further away from the star, still quite hot. Kamiro No was named for the little brother of mythical Angaran hero Jolly No. Before the Scourge, Kamiro No existed in the shadow of a much larger gas giant. It's naturally on the opposite side of the planet, where this anomaly is. It's tiny. What's that little dot? Little light.
I found something.
Was it technically in the ring? I guess it is. It's an asteroid, okay. I could have told you that much. Before the Scourge, the asteroids ringing Camiro No were a moon housing a small Angaran colony. The moon and the colony are now long gone. Yeah, that's just experience, but sure, I mean, guess that works too. Alright, so we've now looked at everything except for you, I believe. Dover. You appear to just be more or less buried in the Scourge here. And so I'm surprised there's no anomaly. Okay. Much less, although not tiny, atmosphere, but understandably colder, although substantially, significantly colder. Dovar's gravity is abnormally light. Did you tell us the gravity? No, you don't tell us the gravity. For a world of its size. This is certainly an effect of mass fields generated by the Scourge. Dovar should be further observed as it escapes Scourge tendrils. Huh. I mean, definitely has some oddities about it, so I am surprised for that reason that it doesn't have reason to be scanned. But alas, apparently that is everything here. So yeah, let's start with the stuff that we think is gonna have little in it, and then build our way up to things that are gonna be more significant, like this area where I might just be forgetting. Maybe there is a major... No, but it says when there's a major habitable world there, right? Like we have Aya, Nexus, Havarl, Eos, Eladin, Kadara. I mean, H047C is perhaps the name of a planet. Or at least something in that area.
Looks like we're coming up on a blue giant.
From Aya, it's often the brightest star, the first to rise.
Okay, whoa. The Scourge is very tendrily. It's like 5 giant squids all tangled up with one another. Okay, let's see, anything immediately? For anomalies, no. Also, very interesting tilts to these orbits. Alright, shall we start in and work our way out? I think this is technically the closest in, despite still having, seemingly, some of the tendrils nearby. Valon. Okay. Very thick atmosphere, therefore very hot. Ihoda, right, assume, Ihoda, I don't know, is a world of rock and metal surrounded by a crushing atmosphere. By all logic, it should be molten, but the Scourge has somehow kept it cool despite its proximity to Valen's blue giant sun. Oh, that also would explain why planets would be really hot. There's a super powerful star here. Okay. So I guess this is the next one out? Looks cool. But no anomalies. Okay. No atmosphere. And yet still incredibly hot. Probably super hot on the side that is facing the star and super cold on the side that is not. Pos 70 appears to be a Chthonian planet. A former gas giant stripped of its atmosphere down to its metallic core. It's extremely likely this process was accelerated by the Scourge. Okay. Then I guess this. Okay. No anomalies here. This looks like a gas giant. Large gas giant, ideal for helium-3 mining. Only the dense Scourge activity in the system makes it a less than perfect refueling point. Alright, now to the ones that have the particularly unusual tilts. I mean, that one's spinning on its side, orbiting on its side, for what it's worth. what's with... Is that the planet that we've not yet visited? It looks so close. I mean, obviously, in reality, planets are nowhere near this close to each other. Even planets that are, quote-unquote, next to each other in a system are, you know, they would look like stars, or, yeah, they'd look like stars, in all likelihood, from one of the planets. Otherwise, in reality, these are so close they would be orbiting each other, because the gravity from them would be so huge at this range. Right, no anomalies. We have seen, on at least one prior occasion, a time where a system just had quite literally 0 anomalies in it. I hope that's not the case here, but we'll see. 0 atmospheric pressure, so no atmosphere at all, and yet it is astronomically hot. Ramadacia and its neighbor, Murundi, were both thrown out of their orbits by the Scourge. Yeah, okay, so that explains why they have such a strange orbit now. Even before this, however, Ramadacia was likely a molten sphere of iron and copper. Why is it molten, though? So far away from the star of the system. Yes, you don't have an atmosphere, which means you can't retain, manage, spread out the heat, however you want to phrase it, as much as a planet that would have an atmosphere would do. But at this distance, you'd think that would mean you'd just be freezing cold. In which case you would not be molten, in all likelihood. But, you know, who knows? Alright, now for the final planet. I hope there's something here. Oh, look at that. Basically, just like, turn around, and there it is.
Anomaly detected.
Okay, so there is something here. So, Murundi, this one does have an atmosphere, not even a very thick one, but goodness gracious, this thing is incredibly hot. Like Murundi, I mean, maybe it has something to do with the fact that it's next to the Scourge, but I don't necessarily think that has been something we've noticed in the past. So like Ramadacia was thrown out of orbit by the Scourge, its enormous mass may have been pulled in dust and debris to form rings only recently. Okay, but as for... Wait, hold on. Does the location of the anomaly change when we zoom back in? For a second there, it looked like it did the first time I reinitiated the check, but afterward, perhaps not. Okay, it's this, once again, thing in the ring, which is actually very hard to target because it's tiny.
Tracking a huge mineral deposit.
Alright. So its large asteroid may have been a fragment of moon that once orbited Murundi, somehow broken apart by the Scourge. In this case, it's iron. I think we have a whole bunch of that, so that doesn't really do us much good. Sometimes, after checking all the planets, for some reason, we find anomalies that were not previously available to us, but apparently not the case here. Okay, so not a lot, but some stuff happening there at the very least. So then, do we deliberately go to other systems where we just have nothing at all listed? Perhaps. And then we could try... It might be worth double checking what it says about Liam's mission here, what it says about Vetra's mission here. Like, if these are not actual planets that we can land on, is it basically just going to turn into us popping over to a planet, pressing a button to scan, and that's it? Or, like, this one makes me think there might be a little bit more to it, because there's that separate line for H047C, which makes me feel like that might actually be a planet that we can do something on. But I'd be surprised, because there really haven't been any of those that are not main planet locations thus far, whereas Liam's does not even say the name of a planet or asteroid or whatever below it, so that makes me think that that probably is more of just a scan and go quick type of thing. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll start small, though. We'll continue to go for the small stuff, because it looks like we at the very least still have this. Solmine. Which, granted, does mean we're flying around from one side of the galaxy to the opposite side of the galaxy and then back again in a zigzagging pattern, but alas, it does not really affect
With all this travel, we're
us,
building
at
up
least.
a bigger picture of the Scourge. I wonder if it's just local to Helios, or if all Andromeda's like this.
even if perhaps it may make Ryder and the rest of the crew a little bit insane. Look at the orbit on this thing. It's way the heck out there, and that is a cool star. Red Korak? I want to see the star. Ooh. That looks cool. I mean, say what you want about the planet scanning systems in Andromeda. We've talked about it a little bit already. How it's definitely disappointing that it does not feel like there's nearly as much meaning to it, as much depth to it as there was in previous Mass Effect games. Yeah, sure, perhaps it was not something that a lot of players were huge fans of in the past, but at least there was some reason for it. Whereas at times, for Andromeda, it feels like they just exist, and there's no reason at all to interact with this stuff because in some cases it quite literally does nothing at all to help you, and in other cases you get a tiny little chunk of experience, credits, or research, or crafter materials that is so insignificant that it's not going to be a huge factor for you. I mean, that's maybe still arguably comparable to what you saw in other Mass Effect games, but the visuals. You can't criticize the visuals, because they are pretty cool. And sure, it's slow, the whole dramatic zoom out and zoom in to the next planet thing, but, you know, if you're really getting into that, then it does look very cool. Alright, so let's see. You are a Red Korak, pretty thick atmosphere. And yet, despite being the closest to that star, still just 56 degrees Celsius. So I take that to mean that this is a very weak little star. Brutal temperatures, I mean 56 degrees is not brutal, but okay. I mean it's Celsius, not Fahrenheit, but still. Noxious gases, crushing atmospheric pressure, and constant tectonic upheavals earned this world the name of legendary Milky Way pirate, Red Korak. Oh, okay. Didn't know that was the name of a legendary pirate in the Milky Way, but sure. I mean, I'm trying to say that 56 degrees Celsius is brutal when we were just looking at a planet that was, what, like 1,800 degrees Celsius? So talk to me when your temperature increases by several orders of magnitude. Alright, what do we have here? H323, experiment 626, pressure 21, that is a thick atmosphere, negative 16 degrees Celsius. It's not unbearable. This frigid desert world appears to have once been covered in plant life. It was reduced to its current state millions of years ago, long before the Scourge, by the aging sun. Okay. It is past its prime, you see. Avalosa.
Anomaly on sensors.
I like the way how when it is zoomed in, sometimes the planets have a different coloration to them, because, I mean, that is actually, but I can't say I'm an expert on, you know, the intricacies of, let's definitely read this little dot. Can't say I'm an expert on the intricacies of, you know, how light gets refracted at different angles through atmospheres and what have you, and that's going to affect the color that it shows up in the visible spectrum. But I don't know. Seems cool enough, and I guess I believe it. You know, I'll take it. Cool enough that I want to believe it that would actually happen. Let's see. So, thin but existent atmosphere and quite cold. Even at its size and position, Avalosa might once have been a moon of H323. Though how it was displaced is unclear. Unusual radiation emissions have made Avalosa difficult to scan. Was H323 the planet that we were just looking at previously? Because I recognize that name. I think it was. Okay, so what is that? Oh. What does that mean? Oh, right, that's the probe button. I knew that.
Satellite detected.
Oh. It's a Nexus satellite? Communications functional and active, okay. Appears to be a Nexus satellite stolen and reprogrammed by the Collective. Oh. It's actively monitoring the planet Surico. Okay, perhaps some juicy details there then. That just gives us Milky Way research, which is admittedly... Okay, I mean, we do have a lot of it. We were just using a whole bunch of it, and, well, we did learn that perhaps our current stockpile is not so great that it makes all future sources of Milky Way research meaningless, that we're still going to need it more in the future, assuming that we... Oh, whoops, is that the planet we were just on? My bad. Yes, it was. For a second, it looked like our ship was lined up with this orbit. I thought we were in the planet one further in, but apparently not. This is the planet that the satellite was scanning that we just saw.
Anomaly on sensors.
There is an anomaly here as well. So Surico. Atmosphere, a little bit thick, but not a huge deal. It is still quite cold, though. Centuries ago, Angard explorers set out beyond their space to Surico, which they believed might be habitable. The colony didn't last, but it has strong symbolic significance nonetheless, okay? And I hope it was warmer at the time, otherwise that would be incredibly ambitious to just assume that a negative 164 degrees Celsius planet was going to be ripe for colonization. I think that'd be pretty easy to recognize. That was not exactly a great spot, but who knows? Maybe the Scourge messed with it. Okay, oh, once again, those little dots in the rings. It's really small, and therefore hard to click on, but it's actually starship wreckage. Unknown everything about it, basically. The wreck of a Rokar vessel drifts above Surico. Appears to have been abandoned. Okay. Elias research data. That is something we are much more in need of. Okay. Now, we're all the way on the outermost planet? I think so. So yeah, this. Just look at this orbit. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Alright, no anomalies. H148. No atmosphere. Very cold. Great mountain ranges of frozen carbon dioxide color the gloomy surface of H148, trapping deposits of gold and aluminum underneath, so perhaps a decent place to collect valuable minerals, but certainly not a colonization target. Maybe more of a long-term location one might want to try to mine. Okay, so let's see. We still have you. Might have nothing. You might have nothing. Those seem to be the two smallest, or at least least significant places that we have remaining. Then we start going to places where we have some side quests mentioned, and then we try to poke our head into Eldon, which is probably going to be a much more significant endeavor.
Emissions from the black hole are incredible out here. The song of the dark side of creation.
Okay. If you say so. Yes, that it is.
Deploying probe. Anomaly found.
When in doubt, go for the little white specks. Little lights. Some kind of wreckage. Understandably, given the enormity of this asteroid belt. But let's see. Starship wreckage. Unknown just about everything except we expect it once had 5 to 8 crew members. This appears to be the remains of a Ket, Scout, or dropship. Enough functional parts remain to suggest it was not destroyed by Nexus exiles. Perhaps the Rokar were responsible? Okay. Bunch of crafting materials, I think those are. Okay. So now, I assume there's nothing else for us to scan outside of the planets, but let's work our way from the center of the galaxy outward. Or rather, from the system, I should say. This looks pretty tiny. Let's see. No atmosphere, very hot. A few characteristic gouges in the planet's surface of H444 suggest a group of exiles has been here, stripping away easily accessed mineral deposits. Okay, but it didn't leave any behind. No X marks the spot, apparently. Which means not much for us there. Now let's go to Sidel.
I'm picking up something.
It has a ring system, which you know means there's going to be something in the ring system, probably. Or at least that is certainly the pattern that has been starting to happen. Okay, a little bit of atmosphere. Honestly, temperature is ideal. Despite its comfortable temperature and seas of liquid water, those are two very good starting points. Sidel is heavily irradiated by mass ejections from the system's sun and is therefore unsuitable for colonization. Darn. That stinks. Oh. It's actually not in the ring system.
Probes launched.
What is it?
Getting a scan.
It is a river. Okay. Sure, and it's liquid water. Colonies of jellyfish-like creatures. Okay, so there is life here. Move freely along this enormous river despite the lack of life elsewhere on the planet. Odd. The river may be the last remnant of a dying ecosystem rather than the start of a new ecosystem. A bit of experience. Okay, I think we'd only just recently leveled up, so I think we are nowhere near reaching our next level at the moment. Okay, next one out is Acermos. Which is a big rock. No atmosphere, very cold, at least reasonably cold. The collective appears to be using Acermos as a listening post. Several unmanned receiver stations dot the planet, either studying the black hole or monitoring local ship traffic. Okay, but nothing for us to scan here. We have been hearing more about the collective in this area for sure. So we had not heard much about them at all until they got mentioned for the first time on Kadara. And this is really the first time we've seen them come up consistently in any other area, so perhaps this is closer to their center of operations in the galaxy, wherever that might be. This looks like Jupiter. This looks a lot like Jupiter. Mornax Vinkar. A Turian exile attempted to found a trading post on one of this gas giant's minuscule moons. Project ended in disaster. Mornax Vinkar is a Turian phrase for bad mistake. Oh. Like that looks like the storm. Probably smaller relative than it would be on Jupiter, but I mean obviously the coloration and the stripes like this, very Jupiter-like. Alright, H2O5. Tiny little atmosphere, trace atmosphere really. Minus 177 degrees Celsius, it is frigid. Diminutive sphere of rock and ice. H2O5 is entirely unmapped and is not universally shown on Helios cluster charts. Could be, one day, prove an excellent hiding place. Oh? Oh? Shall we read into that at all? Anything else that has shown up on our scanner now that we've checked out the other places? Seemingly not. Okay, so not a lot here either. Didn't really expect to see much. I think this might be the last system that we have yet to visit that we don't expect to have much in. So why don't we go here next to check this one off the list?
named it after the Tekunis expedition, the first Solarians to reach the Citadel. It's a big name to live up to.
Oh. Whoa.
Anomaly detected.
Look at this ridiculous orbit. Oh, and it's probably this little dot.
Probe away. Getting a scan.
Comet Tomoko's arrow. Oh. It's definitely dramatic. Comet Tomoko's arrow. The tail is as big. The orbit of this stargazer has persisted despite the scourge and other hazards. Likely, it will withstand even a significant attempt to mine its core elements. Well, only one way to find out. 12 shy platinum. We'll take it. Okay, now let's go back to working our way from the interior of the system to the exterior, and this is like right next to the star.
I'm picking up something.
Okay, this is Vinvico, which is a hydrogen-helium atmosphere of the gas giant has been slowly stripped away over hundreds of millions of years, consumed by the Takuna sun, which absolutely would happen if you were this close to the star. Given time, it may be reduced to a terrestrial world. That legitimately would happen. Oh, well, it's a little dot.
Probe away. Satellite detected.
Because it's a satellite of unknown origin, severe damage to broadcast array, but it is active. A scientific monitoring satellite. It is no longer transmitting its findings and appears to have been damaged by a gradual descent into the gas giant's atmosphere. Okay. There's this Milky Way research. Does that mean it is of Nexus or Outcast or collective origin, perhaps? That's usually the case when we get the Milky Way research stuffs. But okay, let's... you are the next furthest out, I think? You are very closely packed together here.
Anomaly on sensors.
Okay, so this system has all the anomalies, apparently. Mosiba. Atmosphere of a decent thickness, but very hot. One of 3 rocky planets named for the Stones of Life of an ancient Solarian religion. Mosiba is the smallest and hottest of the triad. Read this stuff here, I imagine. Yeah.
Deploying probe.
What is
Tracking
that?
a huge mineral deposit.
A whole lot of beryllium. Metal ideal for lightweight construction in a variety of applications. Deposit is readily accessible. Let's get it. Fair number, fair quantity, but it is not very rare metal, so it's not really all that useful, I'd imagine, to us. Wait. Oh, okay. I read this name and I was like, this sounds a whole lot like the place that we've already been to. Am I doing this again where, although my icon seems far enough away that it should be a different planet, is this actually the place where we currently are located? No, it's Mosiba and Mosino. Not to be confused. I mean, we learned that apparently there's a reason why they have similar names. They are tied to the same Solarian religion, apparently. But this one does not have anything for us to do at this location. No atmosphere, and yet still a somewhat reasonable temperature. Largest of the 3 sibling worlds of the Takuna system, Mosino has a hot surface and extremely thin atmosphere composed of methane and argon. Okay. I would expect for you to be not so neutral of a temperature with no atmosphere. If you're further away, I'd expect you to be freezing cold. If you're, when you're kind of close, I kind of expect you to be hotter than that. Right, all of these. Everything starts with Mos. Mosives? Mosives? Mos Eisley? Okay, no anomalies here. Tiny little atmosphere. Again, relatively reasonable temperature, though. The outermost of Takunis... Oh, this is... Oh. I thought the first planet was one of the 3 sibling worlds. As the one that we were at previously was the last of the 3, but no, this is the last of the 3. First planet we saw must not have technically been one of them. Okay, and that explains, again, the similar name. So, the outermost of Takunis' 3 sibling worlds, Mosives, is a mountainous planet of lime and potassium, although not of a significant enough quantity for it to warrant us mining it, apparently. / I don't think that limestone is a resource that we can acquire. Oh. Oh, okay, we already saw that. I just saw the ring around it. I was like, what is that doing out there? Okay, so let's go to Slova next. What's up, Ove? Good old Andromeda, exactly. Doing some exploration at the moment, because we did just recently get access to a whole bunch of new systems, and for the most part, we've found that the systems in Andromeda tend not to have that much new for us to check out, at least certainly compared to previous Mass Effect games, it feels like. Although, you know, the science space nerd in me is still interested to see, like, oh, sure, this might not be a planet that we're allowed to visit, but yet it has 3.51 atmospheres of atmospheric pressure and 288 degrees Celsius, so that's a scorcher. Despite its ferocious heat and thick methane-rich atmosphere, that would explain why it's hot. Methane is a strong greenhouse gas. Slova might have been capable of supporting microbial life millions of years ago, and oftentimes for that reason is why it intrigues me to think, well, sure, we might not be able to technically visit this planet, but in theory, if this were truly a completely open-world game on which we could visit any planet at all and decide of our own accord which ones might warrant trying to see, can we turn this into an actual colonized planet, might we see some hidden gems that look promising, even if the game doesn't actually allow us to land on them. Alright, no anomalies here. H523, thick atmosphere, high temperature, even this far out from the planet, the star. That is pretty insane. H523 appears to have been a rogue planet captured by Takunis' gravity and brought into an unusual orbit around the star. Yeah, this was one that had a pretty wonky orbit, didn't it? So, again, like, those are things that, like, sure, you could, if you were making a game like this, just randomly come up with random facts, random orbits of the various planets and colors and temperatures and what have you. But I do like when the stuff collectively makes sense, given real-world facts. Ready to do some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer soon. Nice. Nice. Alright, so let's see. So it was brought in. Long-term study of its composition may reveal more of its origins. Okay. So, I think that's everything in this system, right? Because we already did this. But yeah, like, look at that. That is... It's like, you could look at this and say, oh, well, they just decided they're going to make one planet that does this crazy thing that looks totally different from all the other planets. Which maybe was the origin of them doing this. But then to say, oh, well, you see, this was an extraplanetary... Or, what's the correct terminology for it? A rogue planet captured by the system. Basically... It was a planet that might not have had a solar system that it belonged to. It was just kind of free roaming. But it got close enough to this star, which obviously has a lot of gravity because it's a star, such that it got pulled in close enough that it created an orbit around the star. But that would explain why it perhaps has an orbit that is quite different from the other planets that were, quote-unquote, originally in this system. If, you know, obviously they all... Gradually, the planets got formed over time, but you know what I mean. So yeah, like, it makes sense, which I like. Yeah, it feels like, you know, that's certainly, to a certain extent, what we've seen at various points in time. Like, there are some things that Andromeda does really well. There are other things that Andromeda does very poorly that feel like there were some quick and easy fixes that might have made them at least much more acceptable, and then there were things that were just okay, but had a lot of potential, and if they had a little more time to polish them further, could have been other things that were really shining points. So there's definitely a lot of missed potential with Andromeda, unfortunately, but, given everything that happened with the game, and given everything that people heard about the game, understandable, but, I mean, part of the reason why we're playing it is because there are very much still some very good things that the game does that are a lot of fun. Okay, but now, so Eldon is going to eventually be the place we're going to go, yes, but we have these two other places where we know we have some side quests. We have Liam's mission over here, and we have Vetra's mission over here. I think it's worth, I don't really remember these at all. I think it's worth quickly checking our journal to just see what those things say. So we have some sense as to what we're getting ourselves into here, because they might just be really quick things. At least for Liam's, I feel like it will be, but for Vetra's, I'm not as sure. Like, what does this say? Sid believes some colonists have been kidnapped and taken to an abandoned mine on H047C. Go there. And the remap says, I mean, that suggests we can actually land on this place. But we've never heard of this planet before. It sounds just like a totally random planet. So, or moon, or, it's like, this is the type of naming system they've used when they have not yet truly named a planet, right? So, it feels like this is some insignificant place that just so happens to have a slightly more significant reason for us to go there, a side quest. However, every prior occasion where we've had side quest specific stuff at a place, it was either just go to one of the major planets that you have main quest missions on, which, given how we haven't heard this mentioned any other time, I'm doubtful that that is the case here. Or it's a go to this place and scan something and basically press a button and you're done. But this feels like it's suggesting something a little bit more than that, so I'm not sure what to make of this. Is this like the one exception? The one time where there's a little planet or a little station or something like that, where you have just a one-off mission and it, rather than being a full-blown entire planet open world area that you can explore? Because that, I think, we talked about that a little bit a while ago, but that does feel like that's sort of one of the big things that Andromeda is missing, at least to me, is that, that the exploration does not have much to it, because outside of the main planets, there isn't much in the way of rewards, and the side quests can fall flat if they're just go to a planet, press this button, and you're done. All the other Mass Effect games had places where, you would have research stations, you would have things like, Mass Effect 3, Grissom Academy, places where it's technically not a main quest mission, but they're places where you land, you visit, and you spend a fair bit of time, even if it's not a home world of one of the major species or something like that. Okay, but now let's check Liam's. This one. Liam has asked for help with a rescue. His Angaran contact, Varund, has likely been captured by scavenging pirates. To make it worse, Liam gave Varund Nexus nav points and data. He trusts her, but if the pirates extract the information, it puts the initiative at risk. They're somewhere in the debris field near Kyrnos 2 in the Cephasa system. So, this feels like it's more like the, okay, go to this random, obscure place, scan the area, find the person's, crashed ship. Oh, they're dead. Oh no, this is going to be a problem, and then there's going to be follow-up stuff elsewhere, but we're not actually going to land or do anything there. Yeah, I would say when it comes to exploration on the planets that we can visit, I'm in general a very patient person for that stuff, so to me it's not a huge deal if there isn't that much on the planet. I mean, there are still a lot of quests to do on the planets. They are very spread out, the things of particular significance on the planets that we can visit, and when we do, it means there's a lot of travel time in between. Sometimes, the stuff that kind of breaks up the big encounters are just little, there's a rock that we can mine for a little bit of resources, or there's a random group of Ket that have showed up here that we can fight, which is not super impactful, but it's something. So to me, oftentimes that's maybe not ideal, but it's good enough to at least keep me engaged, keep me interested. You know, compare that to something like The Witcher 3, which does that really well. It does have some similar stuff in that, you know, you have random encounters with not super significant enemies.
A massive red giant, like Arcturus back home.
Far more remote, I'm afraid.
Like, I was seeing a video recently that somebody did that was actually really well done, that talked about, I think it was actually about the Hogwarts, what's the name of the recent Hogwarts Harry Potter game? And how that's an open world. And it was talking about how that game did a really good job of having an open world in which there's a lot of content in the open world that rewards your exploring in significant and meaningful ways. So for that reason, you're intrigued, you're encouraged to keep on going out and exploring and being thorough with your exploration. And then it compared that to The Witcher 3, and how that did also a very good job of, you know, if you're gonna go out in this direction and might not necessarily have a specific quest over there that you know about, but you're going to be rewarded for your diligence, for your exploration, for your thoroughness. And it basically, the sort of key point that it made was that in those games they did a really good job of making sure that you are going to find an interesting encounter every certain increment of time, because they were spread out in such a way that, you know, the amount of time it takes you to travel from one interesting encounter to the next interesting encounter in any given direction is, I think they said it was something like, what were the numbers they had? Like 30 seconds or so. No, that's not the exact number, but like around there. Like, at no point in time, or it's very unlikely that you are ever in an open world for those games going to go more than 30 seconds without at least finding something that is interesting for you to do, whether it be fighting enemies, finding a new quest, finding hidden treasure in The Witcher, or what have you. Like, some of those things sure are more interesting than others. Sometimes, on the good end of things, you might even find new side quests that you didn't even know existed, and those are pretty significant, pretty big in that case. For Mass Effect Andromeda, it feels like, certainly for quests, side quests, they're much more spread out than that. If you include things like random Ket dropships popping in and having a small wave of Ket to fight, okay, you know, it's still definitely more spread out than that, but you're getting those somewhat often. Then if you start including things like, you know, occasionally you'll run into a relatively big wild beast, or if you look over here, there's a hidden chest that has some loot in it. Like, those things are not as exciting, and in most cases, you know, are not going to be as rewarding or anything like that. But if you count those, then okay, you know, at that point, you're running into something that is of some significance fairly regularly. But on the other hand, if you're not interested in those kinds of things, you aren't making a point of going out and trying to hunt down all the various chests, or whenever you see one of the big monster dudes, you're not making a point of hopping out of the Nomad and fighting it, then you just kind of drive past them, and in that case, you're going to go a pretty long time without, in some cases, going to go a pretty long time without encountering something significant. So that was kind of the key point, was they said for CDPR, the developers of The Witcher 3, that they deliberately made a point of never, at any point in time, having players go 40 seconds or more without encountering something new and interesting. I think was basically their threshold, which is something that, I mean, I never really thought of it that way, open world design like that, but it makes a lot of sense. And you could see how, in general, games that people really like that are open worlds, that people talk about, for having, you know, good, meaningful things to do in the open world, which is one of, if not the most important things in an open world game, is having good things to do in the open world that encourages that exploration, is, you know, how many things are there in the world, but how well distributed are they? So that you don't go any more than 30, 40 seconds, a minute, in between important encounters, otherwise you lose interest and you disengage, and you may not even want to play the game anymore. So that's something that Andromeda probably could have done a little bit of a better job with. Again, I don't think it's terrible. I think it's still decent, because for me, I am still being very thorough when it comes to tracking down those chests. And most of the time when we encounter, certainly just about every time we encounter one of the big enemies, we make a point of fighting them fairly often, even with the little guys. Certainly if we see cats coming out of a drop ship, we're fighting them. So if you do all those things, then it feels decent to me, at least. But I can see how that would not be the case for other people who are skipping through some of those things. Let's see, we have Nadanur. Thick atmosphere, pretty hot. Nadanur's surface temperature varies wildly depending on local volcanic activity. Away from the lava streams, the rocky landscape can be frigid. Okay, but nothing for us to scan, though. Yeah, and the cool thing is that, you could apply that same logic to any open world game, new or old, Think about any open world game you've played before, and then kind of think of that in your mind. It's like, okay, in general, how often in this game am I running into new interesting stuff? And for the most part, for games you like, the answer is pretty often. Games you don't like as much, answer is usually not so often. And in some cases, games might have a lot of stuff in them, but it's just, sometimes developers get a little bit caught up in, oh, our world is humongous. It's the size of 5 Earths. It's like, okay, yes, your world may be big, and you may have a lot of stuff in that world, but because it's so big, those things are really spread out, and it takes a long time to get to the things, and so there's a lot of downtime in between those encounters, and that detracts from your overall experience. So something to be said for actually having a bit of a smaller open world and then just packing it in densely with a bunch of things for people to engage with. And that's something that, you could do for an old game.
Anomaly on sensors.
Yeah, like Mass Effect 1, for example, take that. I mean, I still love Mass Effect 1. It is probably still my favorite Mass Effect game, but I can still admit, I'm not blind to the fact that riding around in the Mako can get very bland very quickly, because there's not a lot going on most of those planets, and yes, there are a few things that are marked on your map, but then there are usually several more that are unmarked, and so again, if you're either just ignoring those things that are unmarked, or you're trying to explore thoroughly, but you don't happen to run into them because there's nothing directing you toward them, then it could feel like, you're driving around like crazy and getting almost no reward from it, which I get. And I could see for that reason why
Deploying probe.
at times it would feel like
Deposit.
Mass Effect 1, despite being open world, that's not one of its strengths. Still not one of its strengths. And the Mako being frustrating, if not infuriating at times, to drive around in certainly exacerbates that. Because that is another aspect, is, again, not so much the distance between those important things, but also just how much time it takes to get there. So that was one of the points that they made. Let's see, this is copper, so we'll take it. That was one of the points that the video I was watching made about Hogwarts Legacy, was that in some cases, the important encounters, they were farther apart, but those were encounters that in general you were going to be running into by the time you had faster means of travel. And so they could be more spread out because you were going to be going faster, and therefore it would take you less time to travel that distance in between locations. And there was like one part where they deliberately did not put as much stuff in a given location because there was like the view of the Hogwarts castle was most dramatic from this angle, and so that was seemingly a deliberate design decision. So instead of having people buried down looking at the ground for loot or whatever stuff, there were less things to engage with because they wanted people to be looking up at the cool castle that they designed from the best angle to look at the cool castle that they designed, and because they did a good job designing the cool castle, it worked. Oh, I don't even remember the name of it, but what is it, like Death Stranding, was it? The one that got a whole bunch of hype? I never played it, but
Anomaly on sensors.
that was like kind of sort of a walking simulator. Or at least that's kind of what I took of it. That, yeah, I don't think I've played a single Kojima game, which I know is blasphemous to say. Not necessarily by design, but, well, I'm not a huge stealth person, so I guess the Metal Gear games are not super appealing to me. Oh, okay, no, that's not true. I have played Metal Gear Rising briefly, which is kind of sort of a little bit of a Kojima game, right?
Deploying probe. Getting a scan.
Not exactly, but... yeah, let's see. Fungus... Quarantine recommendation level 2. Massive colonies of this mold grow deep beneath this planet's surface, filling caverns that run up to 6 kilometers long. That sounds nasty, but it gives us experience, apparently. Yeah, so it's like, you know, that... Again, so I can't really speak so much to the specifics there because I haven't played the game, but it got a lot of hype, so I sort of have a... I know enough to be dangerous that, I have a perception of how it was received, at least, in that it seemed like it was one of those things that where it has good graphics, it looks nice, it might have a big open world, and obviously there's the whole, well, it's a Kojima game, and so it's gonna get a lot of publicity for that reason alone. But, you know, if you don't have things to do, interesting, meaningful things to do at regular intervals in an open world, then why are you running around in an open world to begin with? Unless you just enjoy walking around an open world for an actual walking simulator game. In which case, yeah, I mean, those things do exist, but that's, at that point, not so much open world as much as that's walking simulator, which is much more niche. So this is Tenesta. The endless calcium deserts of Tenesta are spotted with deposits of boron. Traces of Ket landing parties are present, but all are decades old. It has no atmosphere and minus 240 degrees Celsius. Tom Hanks in Castaway. See more things. Norman Reedus in that game. Alright, so this is the one where Liam has his thing. Again, I kind of suspect that this is just going to be a scan and go, and maybe, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's going to be the only thing for this side quest, but maybe that's just sort of the way that it gets started, and that's going to lead us eventually to one of the bigger planets, ones that we've perhaps already been to, where we're going to have more significant things to do, and that's where all the big stuff is going to happen with it. Because again, it feels like, or at least thus far, we've quite literally had 0 planets outside of the big ones that we've had for main quest missions. And so I guess you could, you know, this is maybe stretching this analogy a little bit here. And what did I say? I think things going to be wrecked, and it's going to mean that there's going to be a lot of trouble, Liam's going to be upset, and then we're going to have to go back to place and try to make some people not all worried and not blame us for this stuff, and it's going to be some politics involved and what have you, and that seems like that's exactly what happened here. But, let's see, so... Well, yes, so, just to continue that thought that I started for a second there, you know, maybe stretching the analogy a little bit here, but you could make that same case, not so much for the specific worlds that you land on for Andromeda, but perhaps the planets that you scan here. Because there are a lot, yes, but in some cases, you can go to an entire system with absolutely nothing of note. That happened to us at least once, possibly twice. In other cases, you'll go to a system, you'll have 1, maybe 2 planets that you can scan, and they'll have a little bit of experience, research, credits, crafting materials, and that's it. Not super significant. Nothing that, I mean, yes, to a certain extent. To me, again, it's one of those things where I'm pretty patient around this stuff, so I feel like, okay, you know, we had something that made us benefit from having done this. And I was also just kind of intrigued to read about this stuff to begin with. But for other players who are not as interested in that stuff, I could very much see how they would say, well, that just felt like a waste of time. Because there's not so much reward in your exploration if you never get to actually land on, or discover a new planet that you can land on and actually truly explore on foot. Which I imagine is sort of what people would like to be doing with most of their exploration efforts. Okay, let's see. So multiple irregular trajectories suggest the field is a product of repeated jettisoning of waste, not a single explosive... What? Not a single explosive event. Okay, that's a little bit weird. Signal clutter and background planetary radiation is preventing accurate scans. It's possible one or more ships could remain undetected in this quagmire. That is odd. That is odd. It's multiple objects, multiple species. The orbits are irregular. Okay, what is going on here? What? What? Are we actually landing? Are we actually landing on a planet slash station slash whatever you want to call this that is specific to a side quest for the first time in all of Andromeda? I hope so. But on the other hand, I don't want to get my hopes up and then get absolutely crushed by it. That's kind of what it feels like this is telling us. I mean, it's having us take some stuff here. I assume we have to take Liam, understandably, but... Okay, I mean, if that is true, then that is actually absolutely humongous. That is absolutely humongous if that is true. Okay, let's see. So I assume we have to take Liam. Yeah. Then... So Liam, mostly combat abilities, tiny bit of tech, which means what do we have and what are we lacking with him? It's been a while since we've used him. But, when he's... The problem I often find with Liam is that despite being a combat person, which kind of puts him in a similar category to Drac and Vetra, Drac and Vetra have abilities that slash stats that help them be more tank-like, which is useful because we don't really want to be right in the line of fire. We want to be cloaking and then flamering and not dying. And if they die, it's not game over. If we've died, then it is. So it's nice that Vetra and Drac can take a beating before they go down. Liam has an ability that has him get up to point-blank range, but that ability does not give him any additional survivability, or at least I don't remember us having done that. Maybe there's a later upgrade we can do that makes that happen. But for that reason, Liam can be a bit of a liability. Similarly, we saw with Jal. So he also has an ability that gets him right up next to the enemy with Shadow Strike, but does not give him extra survivability. And we saw, in particular, on Vold against the mini-boss, that he just kept on dying. I imagine that might have been one of the reasons why that was the case. And that made the encounter just exponentially more difficult, because we spent more than half the time trying to run around reviving him, rather than attacking the enemy and dealing damage. Or we were attacking the enemy and dealing damage with us and us alone and no teammates. So, part of me feels like we might still need to have a tank with either Vetra or Drac with us. I guess we are considering doing Vetra's mission very soon. And it seems like that might also allow us to actually land on a location where we do stuff. So maybe we take Drac for this. It does mean we're not going to have much in the way of other crowd control-like abilities, but so be it, I guess. Okay, let's go for this, I guess. Yeah, I mean, because that was one of the strengths, absolutely one of the strengths of Mass Effect. Certainly 2 and 3, again, like Mass Effect 1, you could maybe make a case that because the open worlds were too big and not that densely populated with enemies and encounters and loot and what have you, that wasn't as strong there. But there were planets that were specific to side quests that had things for you to do on them, which, at least up until now, has not been the case for Andromeda, but that might be about to change, which I am cautiously optimistic about. Like, are we about to actually land on... I mean, it seemed like this was a spaceship, or series of spaceships, so I feel like we're not even going to use the Nomad, but...
Alright, we're set to go.
What is going on here?
Somewhere.
This is on me. I'll take care of it. Any sign of the pirates who took my contact?
There's too much background radiation. Could be anything hiding out there. All the debris in orbit.
That tracks. Heard they were scavengers. I'd hoped Bradley or some of our colonists would follow. Join in.
Okay, now admittedly, we did do this almost immediately after Liam told us about it. So I don't know if maybe there was a reason to hold off, wait a little bit. Maybe we could have learned more through other missions that were not directly related to this about what the situation was really all about. Like, if we had done more missions, would this Bradley person or other people have given us more information or directly assisted us in some way? But because we rushed this a little bit, that is not the case here. I mean, that's kind of seemingly what this is implying here, right?
We'll make do with what we've got. What's the plan?
Jal is a glass cannon?
Somewhere
Okay.
out there is a ship full
It's
of
not just me
pirates.
thinking that. Okay.
They might have our specs.
Thanks to you.
Yes, thanks to me. So we can't go in hot. I say we play to their scavenger routes with that debris. I'll explain in the airlock. We've wasted enough time. Let's hit the go button, shoot pirates, and save people. We've got this.
Jal is the glass cannon. Yeah, so that checks out with what I've experienced thus far. Core are great with biotic teammates. Yes. I mean, we haven't been doing much in the way of biotics, but we theoretically would like to do that somewhat soon. Or at least start specking into those points a little bit. Although we've had some reservations about combos with squad mates, seeing as how their cooldowns are just so long that it feels like that's pretty hard to rely on that. Drac we've definitely used as a tank, and I could absolutely see that continuing to be something he's very good at. PB also being tanky, though, that I think is news to me. I mean, she has that one ability that was kind of unique to her where, I forget exactly what the wording of it was, but something like once she takes enough damage or like her barriers go down, then she has this little like explosion that deals damage and maybe knocks enemies back or something like that. So although she might not have the raw damage reduction or high shield / health compared to other squad mates, that utility from that ability maybe is what does it, that makes her tankier than others. Because at least my first impression was going to be that, or at least I assumed that PB was going to be on the squishier side because she's sort of the equivalent of the adept class, which is generally on the weaker side in terms of taking hits. Certainly compared to soldiers like Drac. Then Vetra, DPS, I guess I can get that, although one of her abilities, she has basically tech armor, doesn't she? Which just gives her flat damage reduction. So in some ways, we've kind of been using her and Drac in similar roles, where they are sort of the point person, the tank, to help take some hits. And then Liam, yeah, just kind of feels like he doesn't have a great role combat-wise.
All right, I'm in. Let's do whatever this is.
Yeah, I thought you'd... Wait, what? I mean, yeah, hell yeah.
It's like all this feels
Play
like...
this right, they'll deliver us just where we need to go. I have a plan.
All this feels like things that we would have had more information about. Just the way that they're framing it feels like things we would have more information about if we had done other quests and conversations and what have you before going to this mission, because again, we basically did it more or less immediately
Outline this plan, Liam.
after Liam told us about it.
Hiding in derelict cargo to get scavenged. Sure, we don't know what we're up against. Neither do they. Trojan horse simple.
Horses don't last long without air.
There's air.
So I'm assuming there's going to be combat in here, not just conversations,
Whoa.
but maybe it's just dialogue.
This
Who
isn't
knows?
right.
I have no idea what to expect.
Liam, you said to expect pirates. This is a catch ship. A big one.
Oh.
Change of plan? Okay,
What
it's
the
a
heck?
catch ship, but scavenging isn't their MO.
Also, did you just see our squad mate float up into the air as they T-pose or something like that? Okay, so, hold on. Did not expect this to happen. Oh, we should probably activate this as our main mission right now. Let's see. This one. So Liam found the pirates, but now you're in the belly of a catch ship, and the rest of his plan is not so great. Find your way through the ship, secure any captives. Oh. And make sure this threat doesn't continue. Sweep the cargo bay for enemies. Okay, definitely saw a bunch of red dots showing up here, but we might have
Doesn't change why we're here.
squad,
Run
or
and
not
get out.
squad mates, but
Somehow.
Talon Raider? What?
Alarms!
That's not a cat
Tell me we
enemy.
have stoves. We have stoves!
That's Rokar, I think. What the heck was that? What the heck was... Oh.
Definitely not Cat running this thing.
No. Absolutely not. What is going on? Those are not Ket. Why did we think they were Ket? It's like Rokar that have captured a Ket ship, I guess? Maybe how we would make sense out of that?
Report! What's going on down there?
Sounds like we could get some monsters.
Oh, okay. Now we might potentially have a little bit of a lull to loot, perhaps. See,
Hidden treasure.
I hope that we didn't rush this by doing it so soon after Liam told us about it that we're gonna miss out on some stuff. Because it did seem like that was kind of what was being implied based on our conversation with Liam, based on all of our conversations with Liam over the past 5 minutes. But...
Hello?
1 moment! Let us just scan all of your stuff first. An efficient cargo jack, mass reduction assisted, non-functional, but it appears a part swap is ongoing. So yeah, it looks like this is an operation of Rokar origin, perhaps, or some kind of pirate origin, which is what we originally expected, but they are abducting some kind of Ket ship. Ugh. That is not to say that it is Ket that we are fighting here. Not actually giving us research points? I don't think it is. That's where we're gonna end up going through. But we must loot everything first. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Derelict shuttle. Initiative personnel transport. An equipment shuttle. Kodiak shell strip. Status loss error. Multiple system failures. This vessel was scheduled for salvage but reported as lost to an unknown event. Exterior shell is intact, but multiple systems have been stripped and are not repairable. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like pirate-like operations. Assuming all these doors are going to be locked until we... Oh. Door behind that door is unlocking, but... Until we actually engage in this conversation, but...
Report!
Ket refuse? Refuse? Various broken Ket components and parts, colloquially junk. We can go in here. Health and ammo and what have you, which we don't really need all that much.
Report!
I don't know. I'm actually kind of curious if he just has a string of lines that he says randomly that it alternates between, or if... I mean, that certainly felt like he was speaking in a harsher tone. So I am kind of curious if anything happens if we continue to delay further and make a map. But I think we are just about done with everything else, so we probably will do... We should probably save for what it's worth. We cannot save for what it's worth. That is another really stupid thing about Andromeda. Point blank. Why are there... Okay, nah, it's probably just random in that case. But, why can you not save at any of the important times to save? Star Wars reference incoming. It's a trap!
For the last time, report. We just fixed those base seals. If you idiots blew them, I'll have your skins!
Or is it gonna be like the trash compactor thing? I mean, we have to lie, right?
Everything's under control. Just a simple weapon malfunction. How are you?
What is this? Get cameras on the bay.
Oh.
We'll figure it out! Stoked. This ship is property of Talonwing. Now you're property too, just like the rest.
Oh. Oh, I just
Well,
saw that pop up and
that
assumed we were
wasn't
supposed to do
really
that.
useful. Shoot pirates, rescue contact?
I don't actually know if we wanted to do that.
She's
But
here. Somewhere. Think they've salvaged this thing?
They're not Ket.
it's only the second time we've had an interaction like that pop up, and the first time was when it was introducing that system to us.
Debris and radiation are still disrupting scans.
So where to?
Find Rand and fast. This way.
Okay, are we actually gonna be time? Whoa, hello!
Start there. Let's go.
Okay, maybe we won't be going through that door then.
Fight to the door they came in.
Oh,
Sure the captives are there?
Has to be somewhere. Think I've heard of this Calla and his wing. Supposed to be small time.
The ship says different.
Lucky find?
Enemies ahead.
hey, you don't say. Oh, hello. That was, I'm pretty sure, Liam. Don't mind us if we just casually nab some remains.
Reinforcements.
Oh, lovely. Is this the spot we're supposed to go? I restored our health. Oh, I think it's down below, technically. Where does it have a icon on our map? I assume it's down here where there's a door that may have just opened up. That seems to be where they're coming through, and someone was saying, get there. I think it was perhaps Drac, but
That's gear from Varan's outpost.
We don't even know if she's alive.
Shut it.
oh, hello. That's where he went. Okay, experience, which usually means that was the last of the enemies. Slash, we did get to the door, kind of, sort of, so maybe that's why. Oh. Okay, apparently we didn't scan that before. Huzzah. Okay. Huh? Okay, that was apparently just loot and slash a way to stop them from spawning, slash maybe just coincidence because we actually needed to go through here, which was the other place they were coming through.
Door sealed. Override from the console?
Okay.
Come on! We have to find Varan!
We don't even know if this is the way.
Well, something has to go right. You take a risk for the right reason. It's supposed to work. Ugh.
No, just recklessly taking risks is not a strategy. That's recklessly taking risks. You're okay?
You dent your locker, the principal will be pissed.
It isn't a joke. I jumped us here blind. We don't know where anyone is or how anything works. And now we're fighting some arsehole who wants everyone chained. It's like hitting Andromeda all over again.
Shield the bag.
Don't make this about the whole initiative. We're here to help, and why am I the one defending your plan?
I don't know.
I will not be ignored.
Hit it again!
See? Total arsehole.
That's it. Space them.
No! No, not the airlock.
Ugh, I will not be ignored.
What?
Such an arsehole.
Boom! Drac! Hold on!
Ah! Shit!
A Hoonie's hug!
Liam? Hold me!
Get on the junctions. Go.
Oh, I recognize that dude. That's the Prodromos guy. Is that the one that we were saying might theoretically possibly help us later on?
Oogie! You have timing!
That we were worried might not show up because we rushed into this mission a little bit?
We would have come in sooner, but we didn't know how we could help. Settlers aren't soldiers, but a wreck of a ship with bad shielding? We've got engineers, son. Oh, power surge. This beast does not like being
That
primed.
is a big ship.
It's the artificial gravity.
Shit.
Everything's shifting!
Liam, Pathfinder, are you okay?
Oh, cool.
We're here. but things have gone a little sideways.
All right.
Engineering and fix the ground.
I like it.
Myself.
Sounds like we made your man angry. You take care of the fighting, Liam. Find Varan. We'll keep this barge stable.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mass Effect games might be the only games in the world where the flamethrower is good? Really?
We've lost the map, Sam.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of
Difficulty
flame.
Analyzing predictive meshes. Walls are not floors.
I feel you.
I'm a huge fan of flamer, so to me, it's like, well, of course, the flamethrowers are great. Okay,
I knew
so
they'd show. Knew they'd find a way to fight.
That's not what you said before.
Moment of weakness.
do we go straight over to that thing, or do we drop down there and see what happens? Because I feel like we might die. No, there's stuff down there. We can make our way back up. That is a great question,
Time up
Drac.
red. The turn got us a new exit.
We're getting real lucky, Liam.
Exactly. Does remind me of some encounters from previous Mass Effect games. Yeah, there's some. Oh goodness, and also getting stuck. We did momentarily get stuck there. This looks lootable, but we can't loot it, which makes me wonder if maybe at the moment,
How many mystery raids must have been these guys?
at the moment these things are unlootable.
Or just scared people into surrendering.
But perhaps later on we can correct the gravity and actually open some of those things. I mean, this is lootable. This is the kind of thing we want. Perhaps like a higher level version of it. But tech stuff. Yeah, we can drop on that. That's fine. It's not like at first I was like, are we gonna die automatically if we fall down here? Is it gonna be intraversible? I mean, it definitely feels like there's many ways in which we could accidentally get ourselves stuck. There are also hidden containers, though. Which is potentially going to get us in trouble. So if we do try to track all those down, then we may very well get ourselves stuck in the process. Like there was that one up there that was glowing as if we could loot it, right here. And yet, I saw no angle from which we could actually acquire its contents, so maybe we just pass on that one. Maybe we do just pass on that one. Do see some red dots up here, of course. Do see those red dots. And loot and ammo and what have you. Or health and ammo and what have you. Just concerned that we might not be able to make this. But in fact, that might be the only way. Yeah, at first I thought this was just like a... You have the easy way straight across, and then you have the much more difficult way down below, which might just give you some extra stuff. So, okay, there are going to be enemies here, though.
There, just as sideways as we are.
No advantage then. Keep on your toes.
And flame. Still a red dot here. Somewhere. Or two. And they might just be on the other side of that door. Oh! Very nice. Beams. That is an ultra rare. And it is a little disorienting. Probably gonna be enemies right up here as well.
They
Yep.
can stuff a lot of pirates into a ship this big.
Ship like this will really bring in recruits.
Idiots. Fight him for it. Report.
Get framework and Garn patch job.
40% functional at best. Partially stripped.
Parted out, then dumped. A junker.
What is this? Something just... But, oh. Yes, something did just fall through. I believe it was this body, of all things.
An ID of some kind. Doesn't look like these talons.
More like Jarl's resistance. Maybe out of fold.
We'll hang on to it.
Huh. Interesting. Ooh, just pure assault rifle damage. That might very well be something we want to put on this very weapon we are currently using. There's no downsides to it. Is there anything in here that we can actually get? I'm assuming it was just that body. Okay. It's a little grim. Open door. Body falls down at your feet. Okay. No red dots at the moment. Or whatever that's worth. Pretty sure that is an explosive container that we just briefly kicked. Don't worry about that. It's fine. Oh, what am I looking at? That doesn't look good.
No going back now.
Bright side, no one's sneaking up on us from behind.
I guess so. Guess there is that. Hold on. Here. And here. Yeah, so I guess that means, yeah, you definitely did need to loot that stuff then and there if you wanted to get it. It's not like you're gonna correct the gravity and then come back and loot it much more easily.
Dead end past the door.
Bound to be another way, back above us.
Above us, you say? Oh, yes. Like how we have not even used any ammo since our previous encounter. It's our previous ammo box. How exactly are we getting through this, though? Vented cover allows for airflow. Destructible. I'm trying to melee it. You're not letting me melee it, which is disappointing me. Okay, fine, we'll shoot it. Or do that.
Long way up.
Wait, there'll be a vent. We can blow it.
You knew that how?
Rand mentioned it. Believe I said she studies tech.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Have a good night. It's getting late, no worries. Good to have you.
Hard to believe they could hide a ship this big.
This is
It's
a
all the
pretty huge
radiation and
ship.
debris. Keeps smart people from stumbling onto it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that is the correct way. Nah, there's nothing over there, right? Right, I'm pretty sure there's nothing over there. Probably. This is also gonna be destructible, as Liam was saying. Enemies? Yes. Yes. Get the jump on some of them, perhaps? We could potentially try to snipe some of them from up here. Snipe, air quotes, with our fake assault rifle with a scope, sniper rifle. Yeah, that works. I mean, whether that was a good idea is maybe a different question. We have the high ground. That much is for certain. Can't really tell where the edge of your body is, to be really honest with you. Somebody is shooting us from somewhere else. Ow! You are legitimately hitting us. A lot. I kind of assumed that this was a safe place to engage from because we were so far away from them. I still don't know where that person is. Feels like you must have been sniping us from a mile away. But, okay.
Watch it, they're getting their footing.
So am I. See how it's done? Seal them in.
Oh, well, that's not great.
Shoot them. No more excuses.
Shit!
We'll get the door. You fight.
Is that us? Or is that them? I legitimately don't know.
The space is giving them trouble! Even ground for everyone.
Okay. Are they all dead? Didn't get any experience. No, they definitely are not dead. I mean, like, yes, the obvious answer is just go down there and engage them head on. This is the person who was causing us trouble before, I have to imagine. I don't think anyone... don't think anyone else would be able to hit us consistently from that kind of range. We should have healed up as soon as we got our shields down like that, and I meant to, but I was slow to respond. Okay. So, like, yes, we could just jump straight down and... Where's it gonna take us exactly?
No going back now.
Okay.
Bright side.
It's a little
No
annoying,
one's sneaking
but
up on us from behind.
just means a little bit of extra platforming. Do this again.
Dead end past the door.
Bound to be another way, back above us.
Right. So then... Tis... Oh, nope, not. Don't need to go there first. I think we can just go straight here. Yeah, so, you know, we were trying to be clever. Attacking them from afar, and ultimately, you know, we basically tried to play the sniper game with a scoped assault rifle, and they beat us with an actual sniper rifle. Which, to which I say, fair. Fair enough. We could have been better. Or we could have, with trying to take that approach, or we could have just gone for a different approach altogether. More traditional approach. But we also chose to initiate from up here, which may have been a mistake from the beginning.
People from stumbling onto it.
Uh-huh. Watch it, they're getting their footing.
So am I.
This feels like this is still
No more excuses.
maybe a better place, because we now have a better sense of where that sniper was.
We'll get the door. You fight.
Like down.
The space is giving them trouble. Even ground for everyone.
There we go. Okay. Just reduce their numbers when and wherever we can. Make it a little bit easier for us. Get the job done. Nope. Okay, hold on. I also don't yet have a perfect sense of what weapons the different types of enemies have.
Let's all stay focused.
So I don't know. Okay, Drac is down there now, apparently. So I don't really know which enemies we need to be particularly concerned about. This enemy, is it not? It's hard to get that. Keeps on. The sensitivity of this assault rifle is such that it keeps on shooting slightly to one side or the other. But it's not letting me hit the actual target. Okay, I think he's dead now, though. Alright, Drac, who's left? That guy's dead. Still seeing two pop up. At this point, it might be safe to drop down and just engage directly. There might be more that spawn in later. I don't mean to do that. I just wanted the loot. Pretty sure that was Liam. Also, our scanning thing was almost a scam. Now is not the best time to be doing that, though. Not really mean to send our squad mates up there, but... Okay, so this sniper is the guy that's causing us trouble. He was out-sniping us before, in short. It's basically what it came down to last time. Just understandable, I suppose. He is better equipped for this situation than we are. And he does a very nice spot. Where'd you go? But he's dead.
Pathfinder, Tanner's working on the lockdown.
Everything's a mess. I can get you out, but I need data. There should be a control hub in that room. Get a scan and have your Sam push it to me.
Okay, that explains why our scanner was going a little bit crazy before. I imagine it's on the other side, though. Probably. May also be other loot or... Well, it's kind of close to this. Yeah. Like getting better or worse? Worse. At least for the scanning stuff. I mean, maybe we just loot a little bit first, but now we at least have some sense as to where the scannable thing is. Well, something just vibrated. My controller. For some reason, over here, and I'm not sure why that is. Yeah, the irregular terrain does still terrify me a little bit. Like, I did not intentionally step off that. Because it very much does feel like there's the potential for some things to get us stuck. Another controller vibrating thing. Yeah, I assume the place where the enemies were has some stuff. It has a little bit. To a certain extent, although there is a upper level where that sniper was and what have you, so we'll see if we can get up there. Yeah. So this. If we could just get up here. We have this guy. Eh. Is that all? And there's potentially another level higher still. Oh, not really seeing anything here, though. Ooh, and we almost kind of sort of got stuck there. Okay, so I think now we just do the scanny thing. Which appears to be back in this direction. Let's see. Does seem to be getting a little bit higher up as we go higher. Oh. Elevation 1, because it's three-dimensional space, which makes it a little bit trickier to know where it's at. Okay, you really don't want to grab that, though. Can we go up here? No. That is a little concerning, then. It does kind of seem like it's up there somewhere. Ryder is not thrilled about going up there. So would like to get higher up. That is easier said than done. Easier said than done. What can we jump up onto from here? Or is there an actual, like, ladder that I'm not seeing somewhere? Oh, come on. Why? Is it just down below in this one? No. Definitely worse. Okay. This is better. And is it actually down here? Instead? That would certainly be easier. No, it is not. Definitely is not. Oh, wait, hold on. Can we go up here? What is this? Ah, what is this? Now, that's where it is.
Forwarding scan result.
That's where it is.
Khaled ran a simple power reroute. Amateur. Hit these access points, Pathfinder. I'll sync with your effort.
Well, go team.
Okay. Activate consoles that are not in this little alcove. I mean, those were... That little section was pretty hidden around that corner there. Oh, okay. Also some info here. Systems, Talon Operational Override. Khaled Curtis. Also, for what it's worth, Talon seems to be the name of this subset of people in this pirate group, or maybe the group as a whole called Talon. That is the name of one of the pirate groups from Mass Effect 3. One of the ones from a DLC, mind you, so not the most significant, but it's not as if that is the first time we've heard specifically a criminal organization with that name, so is that a coincidence? Maybe not. We'll have to see. So let's see. Decommission their junk into stars, but the radiation here must have cooked it. Took it off course. I'm getting power. So what if half of it is irradiated? Still 100 times the ship we had. Yeah, you're right. We could get a lot if we sold it. And then go back to scavenging like animals. Firing weapon. Or we use it to kill everyone who ever looked down on us. You with me? Then just fix the top 3 malfunctions? That's all I need. For once, I'm getting power. Okay. Vessel Rigarikas? Restart report? Restart record, decommissioned, life support, drive core, weapons, external sensors, internal sensors, all failure. Okay, so definitely some
That's the
issues.
stuff. Keep it up.
Definitely some...
Salvage the ship.
He found a way to retrofit a derelict, and he's wasting it on raiding.
Sometimes you just want to see shit burn.
about this time? Operational override. Ket control interface grafted with Angaran components. Detecting Angaran shuttle protocols. Data override kill record. Yarjan dead. Paid him back for kicking me out of his little trading group. Wish I could have seen his face. Paused for surrender, then rammed him. Lost aft control. So yeah, it seems like very much did choose to basically turn around and attack anyone who had ever slighted them. So kind of petty crime and piracy using the newfound power they have from the ship. The firepower. Dare Vonag dead. His stupid group was always too good. Never knew my name. Won't know it now. Using weapons strained core. And then still some issues with the ship itself. Someone dead? Who was this? Don't care. Threatened to shoot his crew if he didn't fix the unshielded core. Shot him anyway. Talon's moaning about needing workers. Fine. Now it's a collection record. These plus crew, aliens, good with their hands, maybe ransom, need grav control. Varen plus crew. Heard of her. Ransom. Repairs first. Oh, Varen is the name of the person that Liam's looking for, right? Person that we are theoretically trying to save here. Okay. Date override trade record. Salvage run. Need plating. Trade cancelled. Fix thrusters. Trade cancelled. Fix thrusters. Trade cancelled. Ship has to work.
That's all I need. Give me a minute.
And we know a little about this Callan.
Big chip on his shoulder. This ship definitely made him dangerous.
Seen his kind before. Small man, big gun.
I'm in their security, if you want to call it that. Here's the doors and... cameras.
On it. Watch the monitors.
There's a red. And... what the hell? They have humans locked up too?
Got your timing wrong, Liam. Khaled wasn't hitting the initiative soon.
He already did. Pathfinder, we have to end this.
Working on it.
Okay. So they've been, pirating from the Andromeda Initiative, including capturing our friend.
Gravity shifting.
Oh, what? That was
Get off my ship.
Walkie?
dramatic.
Still here. We'll find you a route to those captives.
Okay. Hope so. That looks like a big gun. Is that the big gun that we saw when we tried to open this door previously? I mean, I hope you guys now have this under our control, because I don't really want to step in front of this only for it to immediately blast us to smithereens. That'd be kind of unfortunate. But, oh, here we go.
It's the cargo bay.
Again?
What do you mean you can't see them? Well, get ready everywhere!
Fight through to the captives, find a way out of the inverted cargo
Pathfinder,
bay.
that door up there. It was blocked before.
How about it, Bradley?
Negative. You'll have to scan for something manual.
Okay. So expecting... oh... I mean, it says fight through. We don't see any red dots at the moment, but I imagine that's about to change. Any sign of enemies? They're just not engaged right now? Usually they'd still show up as red dots. I take that to mean we are going to get ambushed, kind of, sort of. Again, we can't save, which is annoying, but... Can you help on this? That was terrible
Still good, Owie?
trajectory
Slow
to
the
that.
pace for a moment.
Just hacking multiple systems while parked on a ship careening through a debris field.
That means he's good.
I think there is relevant data.
We
Is that
move this.
crane?
Maybe we can reach the door.
Oh,
Let's find the controls.
alright, well, I mean, there was already a icon directing us over there, so... I was going to do that anyway. Just looking at shiny stuff, seeing if any of it's lootable, but... doesn't seem like it at the moment. Definitely... oh, a lot less enemies than I was expecting, at least at this stage.
Nice.
Is he actually reacting to us looting that? Is there something similar on the other side? I mean, that's the door that we want to eventually go through, of course. is currently locked. We need to find a
Can't
manual.
suss that one. Check for a console.
Yep. Just checking to see if there's also loot in this corner, because there was in the other corner. Symmetry, no. No symmetry. Okay, so we want to move this crane. Somehow. We have, like, the power lines, which we oftentimes see in these types of situations. Apparently not. Apparently not this time. Oh. What's this? Oh, well, obviously.
Still on their cameras. Callet has filled the hall past that door.
And the captives?
Past them.
No, through them.
No. Yeah, there's a little bit more in here. Oh, and what is this? Record of salvage. Addendum entry 453. Ganjot reporting. Can't get this Ket database to update properly. Strip the human shuttle we've boarded. It's probably the one that had our friend in it. Here's how the totals match against the cost of running this heap. Shielding required. Net gain, 0. Drive rebuild required. Net gain, 0. Everything you asked for. Net gain, 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Your plan promised a lot, but we're not seeing payday 1. This changes or I'm out. And I'll take your workforce with me. Okay. So some tension within the group. Salvage addendum entry 454. Devant Joss reporting. Promoted because Callet says I'm the most loyal. Of course I am. And when this ship starts making us rich, I'll be there to share. Callet promised. First thing, we get rid of the people who were against Callet from the start. Ganjot's boots fit real nice. Oh, yup. Definitely.
Callet has been after our people. Maybe exiles?
Whoever he targets, it's not enough to offset this boat.
Gets rid of anyone who calls him on it. The ones left.
As petty as he is.
Yeah. I imagine once we do this, we're going to start getting enemies flooding into this area, because it did say before that we were going to have to fight through people, and we've not had to fight through anyone yet.
Door and crane. Here they come.
Yep, exactly. Where exactly, though? Somewhere. Right-hand advantage? Not so much. Also didn't mean to do that. There's the right-hand advantage. Except it's not actually a thing in Andromeda, or at least you can switch from left to right. I mean,
Caleb's feeling the pressure. Keep it up.
I mean, we're not... I'm trying to snipe them from afar, and they aren't cooperating. So, nothing has happened yet. But I suppose we can change that. I still don't see them. I also meant for that to be a cloak. Where are they? Oh, there they are. There they are. Yeah, they had a frustrating amount of snipers last time. Or at least, frustratingly capable snipers. I think one of those guys, the shielded guys, might have been. Yep. You've got to go. Your highest priority, I think. Conveniently, you were standing completely still. And did not seem to care one bit that we were there. Shooting you before, so now you're dead.
In a topsy toy box. Leave alliteration out of it.
That's drag. One more down below. Over here.
How many pirates does this guy have?
Oh, at least one more.
Looks like an easy gig.
Oh, what? That was the last guy. That was very much not the last guy. I also did not mean to do that combo. Someone else primed it for us. Alright. Any, remains for us to loot real quick? Biotic amplify. Oh, melee damage. Okay, gotcha. It's like, does it actually improve our biotic abilities? Now, admittedly, with all the lights we had here previously, it's going to be a little bit tough to tell what, if anything, is actually loot.
Knock knock.
Too polite. Krogan go with explosives.
No, it's a joke.
Yeah, I know. Explosives are hilarious.
Okay, I think we just had to do it. Oh, if we could, you know, do this. If we could just do this.
Getting the hang of all this, right?
Well, okay, I did not intend to immediately drop down potentially to our death, but sure.
Cycling power for doors ahead, but it seals the one behind you.
We're not turning back anyway.
I mean, it would have been helpful for
we're
you to
getting real
tell us that previously, but
Look, some things you just have to count on. Skill, purpose, allies. We have them all in spades.
And if it goes wrong?
It already did. Still better than day one in Helios.
I guess, kind of,
They're
sort
bunkered
of.
in the next room, Pathfinder. Sniper, maybe 2, and I think cages?
Thanks for the lookout.
That's useful. Okay, the snipers have been the most difficult, or at least the most impactful enemies. Oh, okay, but these guys are right on top of us, so we don't really have a choice but to focus on them for the time being.
Have to take out that sniper.
I very much agree with you. Where, though? Is that him? We have the ability to come up, shoot through cover a little bit here, which is very useful on this occasion. I don't know if the saboteurs are snipers or not, because like the sharpshooters clearly are. Saboteurs, though, they seem to have decent range, but maybe not perfect range before. Well, we're just gonna do this real quick. Oh, that's the sniper. Okay, I found him. Also, there's this guy. And that sniper does have line of sight on this. That was supposed to be a fire combo, but I guess tech on board. Oh, I did not know you were there. Hey, snipery dude. There's probably something in here. Loot? Well, our squad mates are fighting people. Yeah, we should probably help them fighting people, but also there's loot. They'll be fine. Look, see, it opens up over here as well.
At least one more somewhere.
Yeah, it's a sniper. Or at least I assume it's a sniper, because I've not made a point of fighting him yet. That was one. No, we got that. Oh, well, I mean, sure. Oh, hello. Hello. Goodbye.
Pathfinder.
Okay, that's the sound of the door, not some other enemy sneaking up on us. Good to know. Alright, we did pick up a little bit of loot in that side room there. Is there anything else up here? Yes, there's a data pad.
Called it. This ship is a hell of a recruitment tool.
Selling it like it's a revolution. But it isn't.
Easy to believe when you're hungry. Man, I hate this guy.
Okay, well, I imagine we're gonna see him at some point in time. It sounded like, you know, someone said cages before, as if this is the place where they're gonna keep them, so I thought that was gonna be our final encounter. Those look like mechs.
That's them! Seal the bulkhead!
Now's our chance. Take them.
Oh.
That? There's our captors kicking ass.
We need to get in there to help them.
So this is probably a terrible idea. I imagine. We should be much more careful than this. Okay, one down. This one's almost down as well, for what it's worth. someone else blow it up for us? The explosion happened a little bit before I tried to detonate it. Maybe not the best idea to head over here, away from the cover. But I do believe it's dead now.
Get that interface, Pathfinder. I need to know what happened on the other side of that door.
Oh yeah, we will in a second. So that's the first time we've seen enemies like that before. They do very much remind me, of course, of Atlases and the Yammer mechs from Mass Effect 2 as well. Crusader. Oh, ultra rare weapon mod. I think that's the second one we found in this mission thus far, so that's pretty cool as well. So that might be the final wave of enemies.
Anyone alive out there?
I did not mean to do that so soon.
Your initiative? Where'd you come from?
Trading ship out of Kadara. Your Nexus?
Yeah. Sort of.
Ryder, pathfinder from the Hyperion.
Holy shit! An arc showed?
Is Ferrandal right?
Liam, what are you doing here?
Didn't want you getting killed over what I told you.
I'll never give that up. Not that it matters. Khaled hasn't asked anything.
He dumped her in here, same as us. We're all just labor. Half the ship is our handiwork.
Okay. So, lots of questions. Captured humans first? Question mark? You repaired the ship? What?
We didn't realize these pirates had gone after initiative already.
He isn't picky. Everyone is keeping him down. Everyone is going to pay. The ship rolled up and we surrendered. Seemed smart at the time.
Okay, well, you have been helping him. I assume that was probably because you were forced to.
Wait, Khaled captured you to fix this thing?
He wanted to ransom us, but this ship is draining him. It's a wreck.
He had to go back to scavenging just to keep it afloat. So he put us to work.
But all the net zeros.
Car, didn't count on maintenance.
Okay. Well, we'll get you out.
We had help getting this far, and we'll need more. Can you open this door?
I think Dace was working on those systems before all this happened.
Hang on. I've got the override, but we need power. Fault's on their side.
You get that? Turn on the power from your side.
On it. We'll get you out.
Alright. We also...
Boogie, did you get all that?
Ariata, can you get them a path?
Allow me.
Oh. Not necessarily explored everything around here. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at, to be honest. That electric spark is perhaps the source of... Oh, well, that's the objective. So it is probably that, but as I said, we've not really looked around here much yet. Are these giving... I don't think those are giving us research points. I've been trying to do them just in case they have, but I don't think they are. That, however, did. Iridium formation. Well, we've seen plenty of iridium. We know what the deal is with that, but any, like... Yes, little hidden containers. Can't hide those from me. Yeah, goodies from that as well. So I assume we cannot go up there. Can we? Come on. Perhaps we can. What? Huh? Liam? Why are you
whistling?
Aw. Gravity shifts have tossed the place. Looks like Khaled will be late to market.
Seen his kind before.
This is just a loot place, basically. Okay, penetration for shotguns. That's not bad.
One at a time.
Not bad. Might be it for this room, though. It's a little bit of loot. Fair enough. Alright, now this is the actual spot. Wait, what? We totally looted this, didn't we? No, we did not. Apparently. Oh, okay. Hold on. Step number 2.
There's a problem. Dace says the override only pulls the lock.
Meaning?
It lets the door open under its own weight. But it's upside down.
So it's gravity held. You get that, Augie? Gravity.
I get you. Curiata, we've been fighting the shorts. Think you can...
Roll with it. All right, Pathfinder. You have the button. Power, override, and hang on.
Okay, apparently it's back where we came from, but anything else in here while we're in the area hitting our head on the ceiling? Like stuff over here? No? It's just totally a dead end. Okay. If you say so. Wait, what? Is there a way? Hold on. What? Do we get up there by going through here? Come on. Come on, Ryder. You can do it. Oh, I think I see now. Okay. Fix this. A little bit more platforming. This. There we go. There we go. It's not a dead end. I know you're there. I know you're there. Okay, I did not know you were there. Fair enough, Drac. I think the world may never know what was in that container. Or what that is. But we will possibly override. Come on. Come on. There we go.
We have the floor. Yes!
Ladies and gentlemen, your exit vehicle will be at the nearest airlock.
You old ham.
Tanner will evac, but we can't have Khaled chasing us.
Where is he?
Engine control. Past where they held the captives.
Up
Right.
there?
Final stretch to put a stop to Caliph. After all this, I just have one thing to say. Proud of all our people, Pathfinder. Let's do this.
Alright. I assume we're probably gonna have to loop around this way. And this will be the actual final boss fight, not the mechs that we were running into before. This looks kind of like a final arena for a fight. Kind of. Maybe. Or this was at least where the people were being held. Is perhaps how we're supposed to interpret this. This isn't the same place we were before. I know it looks similar, but... Oh, hold on. This is the little loot room, and the other direction is the actual boss fight, I imagine. Yeah, nothing up there. Okay. Okay.
Fine, take them. I'll chase you down and burn you where you live. My
Hey, you know.
talent will
You'll try.
never let you sleep.
What's he complaining about? Put him right side up, didn't we?
It's true. We actually helped prepare his ship. Okay, so is this going to be a conversation? Or is this going to be a fight? Or a fight then? Probably fight then conversation, right?
Inducted coolant system?
Oh. And of course he has friends.
Override.
Oh!
I might be turning around on this plan.
Yeah, me too.
That happened right when we used energy drain. So I thought for a second that we just set off a ridiculous amount of explosive containers there. But no, that was, I'm pretty sure, our friends who did most of that. Just coincidence that it was simultaneous. Though it didn't intrigue me.
Yes, even that. I don't care if it's easy.
Oh.
This is not happening.
Oh, but it is. Arrival log on Helios, okay. Reporting Restorian. We woke to the new cluster, and stars clouded with the Scourge. There is life, but also machines. The Archon says There is worth beyond what we see. The Archon knows what is best. We will deploy and grow as we always have. This loyal vessel is no longer fit for travel. The long dark between clusters and the sudden impact means it is too costly to repair. Didn't stop this other guy. They can't know to move forward. Decommissioning begins. Always forward. Alright. Talon operational override, partial. Log begins. Have you finished fixing it yet? It's a complicated ship. I've never seen it. Ow! Head down until it works. Callet doesn't want it shiny. He wants it shooting. What's that gibberish? Don't touch. You'll wipe the... Data loss. Okay.
So this was a decommissioned Cat Ark?
They don't care. They beat people until it works, then use it to steal more people. We've got some shooting to do.
Alright. This is probably the place with the big baddie.
Pushing power to open doors ahead. Hope you're not having second thoughts.
And I think he has some
Just like
friends.
the initiative.
I think he still has some friends, because he said something about, like, oh, even if they're eating, still send them over there. So there's probably some big beasts of some variety.
Get a ship, fill it with shooters, and I'm still disrespected. Fine. Fine!
It doesn't have to go down like this.
Ooh, can we talk him out of it?
No one is taking anything from me ever again, Pathfinder. I'll kill you myself.
Well, perhaps not.
Talon's got a pet.
And a shield pulling straight from the drive core. Hold on, we'll try to hack it. Found a weakness.
Okay, I hear the pet, but I don't see it.
Shield one port at a time. Make it happen,
It's a little
Pathfinder.
concerning. There's the pet. Okay, it's a captive. I mean, we've seen these types of guys before, but I'm assuming this is a bigger, stronger version. Oh, no, he's not that strong. His health is not that big.
Console Pathfinder, you heard them.
Oh, okay. One moment, what? But that is... No, that is not what I meant to do.
Reinforcements.
That's not good. That's not good.
Your weapons are nothing. You can't touch me.
Oh, we can touch your friend.
It's mine. It's all mine.
Okay, there are more of these? Is that the deal? So like another one of those thingamabobs that we're supposed to activate.
Your weapons are nothing.
I'm just not clear on what we're... Stop him from being a threat. Defend access point until... we just hold it down the fort for the time being?
Stay in range of the console.
Oh, we had to stay in here. I see. Okay. I see. So why don't you stand? Oh, Draken is down. Draken is in fact down.
Your weapons are nothing. You can't touch me.
Where'd he go? Oh, well, there's a grenade right here. Where is he? Oh, he's over further away. Okay.
Tighten up in there. Losing signal.
Okay, so it's similar to objectives in Mass Effect multiplayer. Yeah, Liam. That's not great. That's not great. And we should do this now.
Tighten up in there. Losing signal.
So in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer at least, if you cloak in these types of encounters, then it does not count as... Oh, and we can see the hack process. Yeah, progress, yeah. So if you cloak in these encounters in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer at least, which is the closest comparison I can draw to,
Hold on in there.
then it stops it from progressing.
Don't
Okay.
take long.
So yeah, now they're looking for another spot like that one, which I imagine will be on the other side.
Liam, do you see?
Second console. Pathfinder, let's shut him down.
I'll cage you. Make your people what I was. Nothing. Send Adi. Send it all. Empty the stores. Throw everything at them.
I don't know what you're throwing that at, Liam, but okay. Oh, there's a lot of enemies. No, that... I take it back! You have a lot to be throwing that at.
Stop fighting. You're nothing.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. I see it this time. Just waiting for this to come back, ideally. Coming back. Again, trying to the extent possible. That was quite the jump. To the extent possible, trying to not just constantly cloak, because that might be affecting how quickly... Oh, that's not good. Should probably do this again. Something that we were not previously, or did not previously know how to do. Ah, what the heck just happened? Looks like right now, try to hold down the fort a little bit. Apparently someone else primed that for us. Oh, that's a grenade right on top of us. Should be close now, though.
Redirected. That's his shield. Alice's shield is down.
Go get him, Pathfinder.
Everyone to engineering! Everyone! This can't be happening.
Where exactly is he? He says to see loots casually.
Hostiles out of frame.
Oh, that's grenade. Is that him? No, that's a saboteur. Armor and shields, but not the boss. I assume. Ow! He's over here in the middle somewhere.
This can't be happening.
Oh, there he is. He's dead.
Got him. Let's clean up the rest.
Yeah, we're just gonna be really close for these. This does, of course, seem like a pretty significant encounter.
That's him done. Fool.
Standing by for evac, Pathfinder. Hit the airlock when you're ready.
Don't take too long. I don't like the look of those reactors.
Like everything else, push too far.
Does that actually mean that we are on a timer here? I'm kind of curious, but at the same time,
I'm off.
I would like to loot, if possible.
Anytime, Pathfinder. Ready at the airlock.
I know, I know. Anything from the main big baddie? No, not really. Seems remarkably free of loot in this area. Suppose we can, scan some of this stuff. Can scan.
Don't trust this boat. Let's get you back to the Tempest.
Non-spec anti-proton thruster. Shell and layout are similar to a Helios module, but with the majority of parts now Angaran and Ket. The Rand and other captives are very adaptive. Ket modular shell fuel. Okay, so yeah. Good scannable stuff at the very least. The shell appears common in Ket construction, housing several variants of internal components. This one has a non-standard configuration, another makeshift adaptation by the captives. Shield adapter. This emitter was designed to shield drive core components from electrical charges collected during interstellar travel. It was not intended for organic use, and Caliber received mega doses of radiation during its brief operation. Oh. That was maybe not a great idea in that case. I've seen one of those. Okay, that might be everything then. So I think we head out.
Don't tell me a stock shuttle can maglock like that. I saw.
Don't spread it around. There you are. Safe and sound?
All good, Augie.
We got everyone out just in time. The inside of that boat is 6 kinds of irradiated now.
Oh.
Hold on. Someone wants to say goodbye.
Thank you, Liam. I didn't expect whatever that was.
You gave them plenty of trouble on your own.
Maybe. But it's good to know your friends will come. And their friends.
We'll get people where they need to go. Most want to come to Prodromos.
Okay.
Varan says we might get some Angara. That's good news.
Yeah, I don't think there were ever any Angara on Prodromos previously. I mean, obviously we set up Prodromos before we discovered the Angara, so maybe that's the primary reason why.
No detours. We went through a lot to keep everyone in one piece.
That might help. Relations with the
that,
Angara.
Pathfinder. Liam, next time, let's just do cards. I'm too old for this shit.
I'll believe that when you do.
What? That was weird. Did he finish his sentence? I feel like we just kind of awkwardly paused that conversation in the middle of his sentence.
that worked out. Everything just so.
Yeah, you know, nothing went
Before we
according to
start,
plan.
I want you to know, I'm sorry.
But we did make it work.
I mean, this was a mess. Even though we won, it wasn't by much. It was all worth it. You showed Varan that Pathfinder can stand for everyone. But I need to be smarter about taking risks.
Yeah, like have any plan at all.
So, you're right.
Any reason for taking the risks in the first place.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't screw this up again. We should at least keep it somewhat positive, right?
We did good.
What? Really?
Could do with a little less dangling in open space, but...
You got it. Think that thing would survive a jump back to the Nexus?
Oh. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say
not.
no? Alright, loyalty earned. Ryder has earned Liam's loyalty. Liam's rank 6 skills are now unlocked. Okay, so that was really cool. We experienced a lot of things for the first time there. That was the first time we had a mission that was not on one of the main planets, but we actually had a side quest that existed in some other space, which we were talking about before, how it felt like that was just a glaring omission from when we were doing all the exploration before, how there were all these planets in Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 that you could visit and have side quests on, and that just didn't seem to be a thing in Andromeda. So I'm glad to see that at least in the case of these missions, that is in fact something that does still exist. And that was a loyalty mission, which we saw that some rank 6 ability, all rank 6 abilities were not allowed for us to spec into until we completed one of those things. We saw some stuff, some very minor missions with people's names on them in the past. For like PB, for example, we found some remnant tech for her, just in a random spot, basically on Vold, and maybe we had to fight some enemies for it, but it felt very minor, and so after doing that, we thought, like, maybe that means that now we can unlock PB's rank 6 abilities, but then we checked later and it was not the case, and it felt like that would have been pretty anticlimactic if that was true. So, good to see that the loyalty missions exist, at least in some cases, and it seems like this is probably going to be the case for Vetra as well, since we've seen her name pop up on another area too, that they're going to take place in other locations. They will make it very clear when we have completed them and made it possible for us to get those rank 6 abilities for other squad mates. And in general, as I was saying, I think very good mission, and good to see that those types of missions exist, because before that was a glaring omission.